Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome along to Tuesday's Poker Night Live. You all right?
I'm great, thanks.
My name's TV's Nick Wealthall, and I'm here with 4 hours of no limit online poker action, which has made me very happy, apparently. You can tell by my big grin. We have got the usual mix of tournament cash, multi-table tournaments, and as ever, it'll be real players playing for real money. With me to help us through the night is Mr. James Browning.
Nick, good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too. You all right?
Yeah.
Good.
Last time was a party, wasn't it?
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes, go on.
Are you cold?
No, I'm warm.
Are you? Because I'm sick and tired of the cold weather.
Oh, right. I thought you meant at this moment.
Well...
Yeah, outside it's freezing, yeah.
It's had an impact on me mentally, if I'm honest. I literally... it's the first day of spring, allegedly.
It might have a cryogenic effect on you. It might last forever.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I've had the aerosols out. I'm trying to accelerate global warming. Think of us as your cup of hot cocoa, your brandy before bedtime, your snuggly hug from a loved one.
Oh.
It's not all poker here on Poker Night Live, it's about sharing the warmth. And you can get involved in that warmth any way you like. Here's how you can get in touch with us. We're a live show and we want your contacts, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an expert player, whether it's the first time you've watched the show or whether you've been with us for months. 62211 is the text number. Here's the email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And you can ring in, 0906 200 7080. I'm sure that's on your speed dials by now. Ring in, leave a message, and you'll hear your voice live in the studio. We do love to hear you getting in touch, guys, whether you've got a simple question, a complicated question, whether you just want to share a poker story with us. And do make the most of James, one of Europe's leading poker players, and an awful lot of poker knowledge, haven't you? Frightening amount.
Try my best.
Impresses me on a nightly basis. We've got a variety of games tonight, as I said up front. Let's have a look at what's available right now. James will take us around the tables.
I will do. We're kicking off with a $10 sit and go. Second level, lost one player. And we're going up in price. It's a $20 sit and go. Just started there. They all kicked off at 1,000. I think there's a good chance we'll go back to that one. It looks pretty good.
You need to take notes, James, because you're going to be playing one, aren't you?
Oh, goodness, yeah, I'm going to watch these plays. I'm playing tonight, yes. This one, we've got a little small cash game here, 25 cent, 50 cent, a full table. Seems to be a very popular game these days. Tragic Trev there, I notice. And there we are, the bright green. We know what it means. It means multi-table tournament time. And there's 128 players there, 16 tables. And we will be revisiting that tournament throughout the night. And hopefully enjoying the final table, which Nick and I are both big fans of, because there's always a lot of play. Yeah,
it's a great final table. Usually anyway. So I know you'll stay tuned for that. To take us up there, we'll have that mix of tournament and cash games. And as I said, we do need your text, we do need your emails, 62211. And the email's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Get your poker story or your poker query read out and dealt with live on air. We've also, as I alluded to, or James was going around the tables, got the Beat the Presenter feature, where you can play against or watch online our presenter/expert. Tonight will be James Browning, playing in a live poker game, and then we analyse the results when we replay the game. And James is breaking his duck tonight.
Yes, I haven't played one yet.
You haven't played yet?
No, I haven't played one yet. This is the first one.
Good stuff.
Exciting.
Good stuff. You've sat on the sidelines, taken notes.
I've been away. I wish I had taken notes. I'm going to be taking feverishly tonight.
Well, there's been, shall we say, a mixed performance by the team so far. I'm on the bad end of the mixed performance.
I think Mark is as well. I think I was...
Mark's worse than me, apparently. I haven't seen it, but apparently he is.
Dr. Tom?
I don't know how Dr. Tom... Dr. Tom basically cleaned out Kara's account. He did, honestly, it's true. He used her account, bust her very effectively.
He went on tilt.
That's it, he doesn't need to go on tilt to bust people, does he? Guys, we've got that coming up. James will be playing at 11 o'clock if you want to get online for that, and we'll be seeing his game replayed at 12. But for now, let's get the action going with a sit and go. I think we're going to go to our $20 sit and go. Let's have a look.
Jolly good. I'm taking notes now.
You want to? Call with anything and get lucky seems to be the predominant strategy.
I want to get in the $20 tonight. That's what I want to get in. Right, we've got a full table here. Blinds are 10-20. They started with 1,000 chips.
And if there's anyone on the planet that isn't familiar with a no-limit one-table tournament, I can't believe that there isn't, but just in case, it's basically a last man standing affair, where these guys will play poker until one player has got all 8,000 chips in front of him. The last 3 men standing will share out the prize pool, and that's made up of the buy-ins, $20 each player. And the first place finisher will get 50% of that prize pool, second place 30%, third place 20%. The tournament will last about half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that. And the reason we know that is that the blind structure makes that reasonably inevitable. You can see the blinds indicated at the top of the screen, 10 and 20, if you're not familiar. Those are the forced bets which players have to make before they get any cards. You can see the Boyceman and Gemstar have made those 10-20 wagers, and the players that have to make those blinds move around, or the blinds I should say, move around one space to the left every hand. So everyone has to pay, and every 10 hands they double, so they'll go to 20-40, 40-80 and so on. And this forces the action and means that you can't win by just sitting idle for half an hour, because your stack will be eroded.
And the programme wouldn't be long enough to see the end of it.
It wouldn't. It would lose some of its edge, to be fair.
Yeah, well, it could be about 2.5 weeks, same tournament.
Yeah.
Nick Wealthall still hasn't made a move. It could be.
If there were no blinds at all,
exactly,
there was no incentive to ever play, is there? Even aces, there's no point.
Well, you're just trying to outlive them.
Yeah. See, the key to poker would be to eat a lot of fruit and vegetables and exercise regularly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it would be taking over the world of leisure and entertainment.
No, I don't think so.
Having said that, so a flush for Jay Pez, and
yes,
he may get some money here because the Boyceman does have top pair, although the flush card should scare him if he's been paying attention.
He quite liked the turn card there, gave him an extra little out there for a straight, didn't he? The middle pin for a straight as well as flush draw. In fact, it's one of those strange things, actually. He'd have preferred to have, I'm sure he thought he was winning anyway, he'd have preferred to have hit his straight, obviously, than his flush, because he'd have known where he was. Whereas with the lower flush, of course, there still was a chance that you've walked into someone with a bigger one. Well, fresh from his success, he's got more chips than anyone else. He's decided to... We limped in before, we noticed with his suited connectors. Now he's raised with his suited connectors, because he's using his stack. He said, I've got a few more chips, I don't mind now, I can take another risk. And I think that's quite good. I think showing a little bit of flexibility there.
Absolutely.
I like it. Jack Alley.
Oh, we've got some hands out here, James. This could be interesting.
On the small blind with queens. And there's going to be a bit of action here from I'm not a minger with his nines. What's he going to do? Just limps in. Well, I think that's quite good in the early stages of a sit and go. What's ace-king going to do? Makes it 4 times the big blind. Boyceman, I think, can easily put that down. Oh, I don't like that play at all.
No, that's desperate, isn't it?
Absolute desperate. Ace-jack against someone who's just raised. What does he think he's going to have?
Well, he's just trying to pick up the pot right there, isn't he? But
yes, but he has to try and have some thought about what his opponents have got. He's got people who've limped in, and then someone who's raised. There's a lot of opposition out there.
James, I'm against it.
Yeah, I know you are. It's not a play you'd be doing.
I don't like that either, all in with the nines after a re-raise and a call of the re-raise. That's not good either, is it?
Maybe they've got a bus to catch.
But I think Jack Alley made a mistake by not pushing all in. If he decided to play, he should have pushed all in to increase the chances of the other players dropping out.
Well, exactly, because if he's only had 300 left anyway.
Yeah.
But he's... the
fact that he made...
He's flopped the full house.
No club... Oh, it doesn't matter, does it? Of course
He's
not.
flopped the full house. Fantastic.
Yeah, he flopped the full house. That doesn't give the lie to what we're saying, though, of course.
No. His play leaving 300 behind was ridiculous. Once he's called the 470, he's obviously committed. He might as well just stress this and just raise and plop it in there. Because, as you said, he has some chance to thin the field. Yeah. Which he needs to try and do.
And it may or may not make a difference. They may play anyway, but you've got to give yourself every chance, haven't you, to
You don't know,
to
exactly.
thin that field.
You're quite right. Maybe it probably wouldn't have made a difference, but we do not know. There's now to strangest folk. Someone might have passed it.
Absolutely.
Well, what a marvellous start for him, however. Flopping a house.
Yeah, and in these fast tournaments, and they are fast, that's why we bring them to you on Poker Night Live, because they're exciting. One hand like that can make your tournament, basically, can't it?
It can do, yes.
I mean, if a hand like that happens in the first round of a big multi-table, it's nice, it's a nice start, but it's not going to guarantee you anything. If it happens like in an 8-seater sit and go, well, Jack Alley would now be frustrated if he didn't make the money, certainly.
Oh, definitely. He's obviously a big favourite to finish top 3. Not big favourite to win it, however.
No, it gets fast and furious late on.
I'm Not a Minger has raised it up to 80. Notice we're on our second level here, 2040. So he's just done a flat raise. Now we've got Big Slick there, Scud. And he's just decided to call. Well, that's okay. I don't mind that either, funnily enough. Because he can get away from it. And he can get away from this one quite easily. He's still got his 1,000 chips in a little peanut. He doesn't have to try and force this through. But I don't like what he's done now. He's done a sort of a ridiculous little bet, which is going to do nothing. He might as well have done nothing. Why just donate 80? No sense to it.
No.
Why do it? But
I think it always sounds like such an obvious point when one of us makes it, but it's so important. There should be a reason behind every action you make at the poker table.
In the end, he stayed in there, so I don't quite know why. You know, that's obviously why he did it. But I mean, to start with, what does he think that's going to do? I mean, you can put that in.
What I'm trying to say is, you should always know what you're trying to achieve, even if you're just checking, even if you're passing. You should always understand why you're doing something. And
I suppose
if we make bets like that, it's very hard to.
I suppose if we interviewed him, he'd say it was like a blocking bet or a stopper bet. He's trying to slow down the action because he wants to see another card. And if that was his answer, I suppose you'd have to give some credence to it. But generally, I think one should really think carefully before you do these small bets. But I think to follow up with what you're saying, you should really think, what is the follow-up to your action? Don't just think about your action. What happens next? Yeah. Look ahead. We can't just be looking at one decision. We'll be looking at what happens next. Oops, well, he's walked into this. And it's going to be a goodbye to Scud, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Gemstar's taken a chance by limping with the kings. But I'm not a big fan of limping with big pairs. But I think it has much more value in these sit and goes because you're probably going to see one big pair all tournament.
Yeah.
So you've got to try and maximise it.
Yeah, I think early stages as well. It's only second level. I think it's fine.
Yeah. It worked out perfectly, exactly what he'd want.
And especially, I'll tell you why it's even better at this table. Because we've already seen that it's quite a lively table. We've seen hands there where someone wants to raise, re-raise, call the re-raise, call the... Unbelievable. Yeah. We've seen a lot of action. So people here are obviously not frightened to shove the chips around. So if you're at that sort of table, then it's worthwhile having a slow play with a big pair.
Yeah. Something I've always enjoyed, certainly.
Yes. But you've got to know how to do it.
No, you don't, unless you enjoy it. J Pairs makes the raise. I'm Not a Minger should throw away his jack to a raise, and he does. That's a solid pass.
The Storm, Queen 7. But he's Storm in trouble here, of course, because he's only got 340. So he's got to really be finding his moment to play.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when the blinds go up, but if they're at this level when they get to him, he could take them. But there's probably nothing wrong with that.
No, I think the time was right. I agree with him.
He actually won't be too despondent to get called. He won't want to see the king, of course, but...
He's unlucky, but he was quite glad to get the guy in the middle to come in because he's actually frightened out the rest of the opposition, leaving more money behind.
Yeah.
So he actually got value, but unfortunately he was favourite. But in poker you can do the right thing, you can be favourite, but still lose, and you've got to be able to get used to that. And just realise in the course of events, the long course of events, it will work out.
J pairs with a a tempter, King Queen suited. Wouldn't tempt me, wouldn't tempt James, I don't think, but always looks so pretty, doesn't it, the King Queen suited? Even online it looks pretty. But you're basically playing a middle class hand out of position if you're going to call from the small blind with it.
Had a rather nice email last night, Nick. I was on with Michelle and had a gentleman sent in an email saying that he'd followed my guidelines on King-Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot.
Yes.
And he said it works wonderfully for him. He's had great success with it, and he was very pleased. Which was rather nice.
I won quite a big pot with King-Queen in a cash game a couple of weeks ago, and I had absolutely no idea where I was in the hand. I'm not ashamed to say.
What did you hit?
Only top pair.
Oh.
But this guy had been playing so wild
Okay.
that I thought there was a good chance my hand was good.
So that's an adaptation of it, really, because the guy, if he's just playing so wild anyway...
It was an unraised pot pre-flop.
It was unraised pot. Oh, there you go.
Pre-flop, yeah.
Well, there you go. So it does work. So that's it. Yeah, this guy last night, he said and he gave us his record on his... it was really quite impressive how his record on having played it since he's followed that.
One for Monty. And
Well,
this has been a very, very fast tournament.
We're on the second level. We're down to five. Is there only 5 players left?
I know.
It's quite incredible. Jay Kelly is maintaining his lead. Right, Jay Pez, I don't think he'll play that. What's I'm Not a Minger going to do here with 10 king?
Well,
5-handed, this is not too bad a hand. Okay, he's just decided to flat call. Well, that's okay. If he gets away with it, I don't mind it. Again, he can. With the amount of chips he's got, he's still got more than 10 big blinds. He can actually afford to see a flop. Now it's whether he decided, oh no, Jay Kelly, he's using his chips there and decided to say, well, I'm going to put a block on I'm Not a Minger, just trying to pinch this.
well, yeah, I like that bet.
Yeah. I said that's what he's doing. He's preempting I'm Not a Minger,
He's
stealing
preempting
it. Yes.
And also, unless one of the other players has got a jack, it is difficult to.
I think I think
it's a profitable
that's using
bet.
his chip stack well. He can afford to do that sort of play, and he's got the implied power of those chips. People think, I don't necessarily want to mess with him because he's got me covered, because he's got everyone covered.
Absolutely.
So that was good play, Jay Cali, or Jack Ali, rather. I think Jack Ali I'm going to call you. Well, I'm Not a Minger must be happy with this one. The blinds have gone up, and there we go. And I think that's a good play. He's gone all in with ace-queen. I think it's completely correct play there. One, if he gets the 120, that's quite significant on his stack.
Yeah.
And 2, if he ends up in a race, he's probably got a great chance. Good play. Positive play. What I quite liked there was, I think, his discerning play there, the fact that he hadn't done anything with the king 10. It only cost him a small amount. He still kept quite a nice stack there.
Yeah.
So that would have worked in his favour. One, more likely that they're going to get him to pass, and two, if it does end up, then he's got extra chips to double up in that situation. So he's, rather than half wasting chips in a situation he wasn't going to be quite sure where he was with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he's played well, apart from the pair of nines in the big hand where Jack Alley got his chips, where he could have just thrown them away.
Yeah, he overplayed those.
This is Poker Night Live. I'm Nick Wealthall and I'm with James Browning, and we are bringing you live poker from the internet. Real players playing for cash prizes all night long till 2 a.m. We're with you, and we really do want to see your texts and your emails. We'd like you to get involved with the show. You make the show and you dictate what we talk about, guys. So do take this chance to get involved on this cold, frosty Tuesday night.
Please send in emails, because it makes Nick really happy.
It does.
Honestly.
I do get bizarrely turned on by them.
He does, honestly.
Not in a
make an
nasty
effort,
way.
just for me, please. Make an effort. Send him lots of emails, because he smiles and the breaks and everything. It's
Makes
wonderful.
your life
It's
so
wonderful.
much easier,
It does,
doesn't
yeah.
Poker at pokernightlive.co.uk is how you do that, guys. And as I always say, we don't care what it is. It could be a basic question, it could be a difficult question,
Humour.
it could be a poker story. Humour is definitely a good one.
That pleases him as well.
That does. We like a giggle. 62211 62211 on your textuals, or email poker at pokernightlive.co.uk. And you can also phone in. Neither of our personal numbers. 0906 200 7080 is the Poker Night Live hotline. Hear your voice in the studio. Jack Alley stealing from the button. I say stealing with ace high. He's got a decent chance. He's got the best hand. And Monty calling.
Well, Jack Alley got a pair now. Bets 240. Oh.
Monty made one of those calls where he's basically calling to try and hit the flop, which, I don't know.
As it happens,
it's not a foolproof plan, is it?
No. As it happens, he could have probably. Well, obviously, if he'd re-raised, they'd have just taken the money down. He could have. Sometimes you can play to either hit or to attack if you think the flop hasn't suited your opponent.
Yeah.
Although that one did hit the opponent, it hasn't hit him in a really great way.
Yeah.
And also you could represent you've got the pair, a bigger pair, or a pocket pair. But I don't think Monty had to be, wasn't in fully desperate situation. He's got, I'm not a minger, the one who's struggling.
Gemstar makes up. We'll take a flop. And whoever bets can have this, I'd have thought.
If you do send lots of emails in tonight, it'll be like Christmas for Nick, because he's already very happy, because he's looked at every site to see what 7-0 looks like for Liverpool. And he likes different graphics. He wants to see it in every different way. Yeah. And he doesn't get bored of it. He thinks it just looks wonderful. He just keeps on looking and looking. Oh, look, 7-0, 7-0, 7-0.
I know, it's sad, isn't it? It's a bit worrying that some things don't change from when you're 6 years old.
Yeah. On his bit of paper in front of him, it's not poker notes, he's got written down 7-0.
Yeah. Different ways of doing the number 7.
And quite artistic, I have to admit.
We just need your boys to beat the Russian money launderers.
The Geordies to beat the Russian money launderers.
Yeah, and then we might actually win the thing.
I think that would be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, but, anything can happen.
I'll tell you what, we have...
They're not playing well at the moment, Chelsea.
I'll tell you what, we have actually captured a great player from the Russian money launderers. Scott Parker.
He is a good player.
He is seriously, seriously good.
Yeah, he is a good player. Our producers don't want us to talk about football anymore,
Quite
James.
right.
Can't believe these people on the day of a victorious, triumphant demolition. Embarrassment, really. You're from the Birmingham
I'm not a
area.
minger. Well, is he going to fall in love with King Queen? I think it would be an exception here with the amount of chips he's got left. I would forgive you here. Oh, and there's another King Queen gone in there.
Well,
And
now what would you do?
Wow.
Now what would you do if you were, I'm not a minger? See, now I would pass, personally.
Well, the only thing is, it's going to get me back in the tournament here.
But, yeah, but what odds are you actually getting? Because
Well,
I think the odds you're getting...
I'm thinking someone's got an ace whatever out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone's got a pair. I can't think they've got kings or queens. Hope it's not aces. So I might overcards. So, in
That's
a way, I'll
interesting
forgive him for this one, I think.
If it was heads up, I think it's an automatic call.
He's a bit unlucky that he's got another king-queen there, isn't he? So
He is, but could he reasonably expect one of the hands to be dominating him? I don't know. It's a difficult one. If he passes, he's got 300 chips left. I don't know.
yeah,
As it is, Monty's going to take down a big pot, and I'm not is going to be out.
yes, and not only does Monty get the big stack, he also gets a boost to his equity by knocking out a player.
He does, and we're down to 4, and the next player out will be the last player to leave without a prize.
This looks quite a battle, doesn't it, really? Because they're pretty close now.
Yeah.
Notice that Jack Alley now is no longer chip leader. And has actually only got about just short of 600 chips more than the lowest. Oh, no, stack, yeah. Which was Gemstar. Okay, the blinds were 81.60.
Well, it's a good situation to play aggressively because the blinds aren't that big for this stage of one of these tournaments. I've seen bigger. And because the stack's competitive, nobody will want to be the next person out. So I think there probably is some mileage in being aggressive at this point. Heck, there's always mileage in being aggressive, isn't there?
Well, yes, I think if it's when in doubt, be aggressive isn't too bad.
Yeah. How do you take for Gemstar? Should be an automatic raise, I'd have thought. He's thinking about it, or playing on several other tables.
And there you're right. He's whacked it in there. And Jack Alley's only teasing. Well, rubbish for JPEZ. Now Gemstar here. Is he pushing? He's made it 400. Now Jack Alley's going to play here, possibly. Yes. And Gemstar's put it down. Well,
let's have a look at how these players have been playing the game. All very similarly. I'm not sure we've learnt very much.
Actually, it's very similar play, isn't it? Quite amazing.
It is.
Not a bad percentage for JPEZ there.
If he carries on like that, he could do all right in this tournament, to be fair. We've got 8s versus 7s.
I fancy the 8s myself.
And I don't think Monty can pass. Obviously, we can see that he doesn't want to. And Gemstar needs the miracle 7.
Oh!
That's
it's
magic.
As if by magic.
What a stupid game this is. That's just crazy, isn't it? 2 cards in the deck.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
when it happens against you, it's just like... You can see where all the people get these sort of funny feelings and say silly things about the internet, because it just feels like it's all been twisted against you personally. How is it possible? You know,
This is why people blame dealers in live games, isn't it? It's extraordinary.
Yeah. How could you do that to me, they say. Where did he get that from?
Well, Jack Alley's made what I would consider to be a really dodgy call. However, having said that, he has left himself chips, and there is a good chance he has the best hand there, so I think I'll take that back.
Okay.
I understand that. Look at this. We're down 2 or 3 prize winners, and we might see all the money go in. Oh, he's passed the Jack 10.
Well, we're going to see Monty's money go in, that's for sure. And he's hit the Queen.
A heart will get Gemstar out of this, or
He's
a Jack.
not going to get the heart. No, he wasn't going to get it. It didn't feel like it.
James is now commentating on intuition. Good to see. That'll make it more interesting.
Gosh, I forgot to take notes on these players.
Yes, if you're joining us late, James Browning will be making his debut on Beat the Presenter, playing at 11 o'clock, analysed at 12 o'clock, 12:05, we'll do something else.
Playing at 11, analyse at 5 past.
I did the same joke.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you just weren't listening. We did the same joke one line after each other.
Oh, good never.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. We're on the same
I was watching the
wavelength.
screen, that's why. Oh, we are on the same wavelength, good.
Read your script.
We don't have one.
Very good point.
And this battle is carrying on.
Ace 5 for Jack Halley, but he's not going to get a chance to play it. A little 3-handed battle, nice to see.
Yes.
I see a lot of 3-handed play in these usually because it's quite often going so fast by the time we get to this
Well,
point.
we are getting a bit fast now. It's 163.20, but yes, I agree with you. It can be normally another level on, isn't it? And well, Jack Halley's not going to play this one. He was desperately hoping the other two were going to fight each other. It didn't happen.
Emails are coming in, guys. Thank you so much. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We are live for the next 3.5 hours, and we want lots of emails. We'll get to some of those in about half an hour's time, something like that. And get through as many as we can tonight. Monty with a difficult decision, doesn't have great cards, but has very few chips. Decides he can afford to pass once.
Well, he's going to be all in this time, that's for sure. Ace Jack looks like gold dust, and look at Ace 7, he's popped in there to give him a bit of value. 3-6 will put it down, let those two fight it out. Oh, overkill. Oh, a flush draw comes and rears its ugly head.
Oh, that's horrible.
Isn't it funny though?
Drama on TV.
But I felt it though.
That time you felt it, did you?
Yeah, because I said rears its ugly head. You could feel it was coming, couldn't you? I was like squeezing it out.
I don't have your gifts, James, but you've done amazing things there.
Oh,
Monty,
poor Monty
ahead all the way until the river, and some of the flush cards would have made him a full house as well, so he was very unlucky.
That would have been the full Monty.
Oh,
Boom, boom.
good, yes.
It was fast.
It was good. I mean, let's not overstate it, but well done. You've done well.
Done well.
Well, Gemstar's money will be going in here with the 10s, and Jack Halley can afford to pass this. He won't want to, but he can afford to. Well done.
Right. Blinds are big on A3 26.40. Jack Halley, he's going to take this down. And they're virtually neck and neck here. And Gemstar will like the look of that Ace 10 suited. And he's going to call, I think. He does. He's hit the 10. Jack Halley needs a king. He hasn't got a club to help him. And it's all over. The long-time tournament leader, Jack Halley, has been pipped at the post.
Yeah.
We forecast him to get in the top 3. He certainly did. He came second. It was a good tourney. Gemstar came from behind to end up the eventual winner. Well done indeed. And I actually thought generally a pretty good standard of play in that sit and go.
Yeah, you can see, we're talking about Jack Halley winning that pot early on, and you can see it there, and you can see how that sustained him throughout almost the entire tournament.
It did, yes.
He didn't actually he barely had to win a pot for the rest of the tournament.
That's
until
right, he just sort of kept a pretty level status from then on, didn't he?
If you can...
let's have a look at Gemstar, though. That'll be quite interesting to see how he where did he come from? Oh, yes, he was sort of a very, very slow starter. Trickled along, and just made his moves basically towards the end, which again shows that you don't necessarily have to do a lot early on as well.
2 different ways to
skin a cat.
Peel the onion.
Oh.
I don't know. Thanks for your emails, guys. James, we've got 2 emails on a similar, more or less the same topic for you to absorb. And it's about what levels to make money at, not what levels, sorry, what type of games to be are most profitable. 2 different players' experiences, which I'll précis for you.
Right.
Using the word précis in open play, I think you'll appreciate that. Soxeldino, thank you Soxeldino, says when he started playing online, he always played cash games, and then when he was confident moved on to sit and goes, always for small stakes. Signed up for a multi-table tournament and figured it wasn't enough to squeeze in another sat and go, and also sat down in a cash game. Ended up turning over a huge profit in 30 minutes in the cash game. And he's found that his experience in playing tournaments has helped him and wants to know which type of game we find most profitable. A similar email from Bodsberg, who says, great to see you back, Mr. Browning.
Oh, that's very nice, thank you.
He says he's, because of personal financial reasons, pulled out most of his poker bankroll and he's back to playing micro levels. Where he feels he has quite a big edge thanks to his poker studies. And he's asking what type of games he should play in order to exploit this edge to the maximum and thereby increase his bankroll as quickly as possible. Should he play full tables, sit and goes, no limit, or what? And again asks what game has the most value for a decent winning player dropping down to the lowest levels. This is something that comes up a reasonable amount, both on the show and in poker rooms generally, as to what games make you the most profit. And I think it's not always clear. It can be a murky issue. And it's almost always going to be different for a different individual, because obviously it depends how good you are at the games you're playing in. How can players get to the bottom of this themselves, James?
Well, I would say for the interesting one there is Bodsberg, who has said he's had to take his money out for other reasons, and now he's going to be down to micro levels. Well, I would say to you, the best thing for you to do is you will definitely, I think you're going to be probably a better player than the player down in the micro levels for sure. So the thing for you is, I think, is to go to the micro level short-handed games. Because in the short-handed games, there is probably a higher level of skill because you're having to make judgments all the time. And I think the lesser players are going to make more mistakes. So therefore, if you're playing a full ring game in the micro levels, you're probably going to suffer quite a few fluctuations. Although you're going to have a good advantage, you're probably not going to be able to thin the field very much because there's going to be a lot of people calling. OK, in the long run, that'll be profitable for you, but still it'll give you fluctuations. But I think in the micro levels, I think you'll be able to make progress and build that bankroll up again very quickly.
And just talk a little bit about how do players discern? It's particularly difficult when you talk about playing in tournaments, I think, and trying to compare your tournament play to your cash play. Is there any easy way for an individual out there to know what's going to be most profitable for them?
Yes, I think it's down to basically your style of play and your character, and actually what have you studied? You know, what part of the game have you studied? It's very difficult to be a master of both money games and tournament play for a start. You know, there's a few people can do it, but it is difficult. They are different styles, or different talents are needed. So basically, what have you played the most at? What have you studied the most? That is probably going to be your best game. In tournaments, unfortunately, sometimes we get attracted to the tournaments because they are slightly more glamorous. You know, we see all these pictures of people raising the cup or with all this big stacks of money spread out in front of them on the table. They are very glamorous, whereas some of the most successful players are busy working away at the cash games. You don't hear anything about it, but they're very, very consistent winners and probably end up better than a lot of the well-known tournament players do.
Yeah. I mean, either can be very profitable, can't they? It depends on you and your style and the games that you play in as well. You
know, but take a player like Chip Reese. Chip Reese is probably one of the most successful players in the world. A lot of people out there won't have even heard of him. He is a massive, massive, massive money winner.
And a massive man.
Is he?
He's like £350 or something now.
Is he now?
When he first went to Vegas, he was like a really preppy, svelte high school kid, and now he's Well, he's Dahl Brunson's best friend. We'll leave it there. We've got a theme for your emails tonight, guys. Doesn't look like you need one. We're already getting those, which is great. But our theme, which I quite like.
Yes, that's
I
good.
didn't make it up, I promise. If you were casting a poker movie, who would you have from the movie and TV world to play different poker players?
I'd have Chip Reese to play Doyle Brunson, because he's big.
Right, I don't think you quite got the idea.
Oh, sorry.
Let me give you a little bit of guidance. Our production team has come up with James Gandolfini as Doyle Brunson.
Right.
Kind of see that. Chow Yun Fat as John Jawanda. That's just two Asian men.
Yeah.
John Goodman as Greg Raymer. I quite like that.
Yes,
I
because
can
they're
see
both quite
that.
funny.
Yeah,
And big.
that's right.
Yeah.
You're all over this.
I'm
like
getting
a rash,
there now.
aren't
Yeah,
you?
I'm there now, yeah.
Do a little bit of homework on it. Guys, if you'd like to play, that's the poker-related nonsense game we're going to play tonight. Poker at pokernightlive.co.uk. 62211 on the text. We would love you to get in touch. We'd love to be reading out and dealing with your email tonight. We need to check in on our multi-table tournament, which we haven't seen tonight. My goodness, let's have a look at it.
Bring on the green.
Let's have a look at some green action.
Here we are. 49 players left in the MTT. That's spread out on 7 tables.
We started with 143 runners, so over...
Sorry, sir. 128. Don't like to be pedantic, but I have to be.
I mean, I've got the wrong information.
Okay.
It's just embarrassing, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
For me personally.
But we've got to keep them right, though, haven't we? Otherwise, it'll be all... we'll get the wrong chips. 192,000 chips in play. We're still down to 49. And have we got anyone here that we recognise? I think L Pig. Have you come across him before, Nick? L Pig?
L Pig, yes, he's had a fantastic... Well, I actually haven't seen him for the last couple of weeks, but he did have a fantastic run in these tournaments. I think he reached 3 or 4 final tables in 2 weeks. And
right.
He's actually won it twice. So, yeah, we've seen L Pig plenty.
I'd get Del Boy to play him in the film. Or at least one of the trotters.
Clever. I'm just going to cast the women, to be honest.
Oh, right.
We have Jodie Foster playing Annie Duke.
Oh, I prefer Jodie Foster.
Yeah, of course, you always... Look, you're going to prefer the film and TV stars, aren't you?
I mean, I much prefer her. Yeah, sorry, go on.
What's your point, James?
Just give me my opinion.
You don't have a chance with either of them, to be fair. Because, because Annie Duke's married.
No, I'd say no to her anyway.
Yes, and because Jodie Foster, if rumours are true, walks on the other side of the street.
Aha. I can believe that.
It's a damn shame if it's true.
No, because she has that sort of steely...
Don't get excited while we're on there, please. I can't deal with it, to be honest.
L Pig hasn't got much of a hand.
Well, we've only got 40-odd players left, and...
what name is below Golden
really not
Jaguar?
too far into this tournament. Pardon?
What name is that below Golden Jaguar?
Skirts up.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, go on. So you've got Jodie Foster to play Annie Duke.
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's early days.
OK, I've got one for you.
Yes.
Clodagh Rogers to play Cloney Gowan.
I don't know who either of those people are. 2 flop flushes, look at this. This is very rare in poker, isn't it? Heads up pot, and both players have flopped a flush.
It is amazing.
And
a recipe for disaster, I'm afraid.
yeah, hard to see Hayes says hi
There we
getting
go.
away. He can't.
What a dream there for Golden Jaguar. Yeah, both flopping flushes. Wow.
Hard to do.
Cloney Gowan is the Texan who won the ladies tournament, the big ladies tournament.
Yeah. You could have Jennifer Tilley playing Jennifer Tilley, because she's...
That would be good. Yeah,
you know,
that would be good.
She's
yeah.
average at both, isn't she?
Ooh.
What?
Well, just ooh.
All right, I know. Yeah, all right. She's better than me at both. That's what you're thinking. Fine, fine. What I'm saying is,
She's a far better actress than you.
She's not. As an actress, she's a good poker player. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, using McGreal's M, how many chips do we need at this point in the tournament, James?
But at the
Educate us.
At this moment, we look at what the cost of a round is, and it will cost you 300. So you divide your stack by the 300. And for example, we will look at Heisei's. So he's got 1140. So we divide the 1140 by 300, which gives us 3.8, which means he is in the position where he should be making one move, which is pushing. All in is his only play.
Okay. And what does that go up to, for those that don't know?
The level is up to 5. 1
Okay.
to 5.
So basically,
And he's done it.
if you've got 1,500 chips or less, you're a mandatory moving in scenario.
Yes. Now, I think in his situation it's quite correct, and I think he's played this correctly. He's unlucky there. He had 2 overcards to a pair. The pairs hit the trips, and it looks silly. But he made a fair enough play. The reason is he's made his all-in play. What happens is when you're in that situation, you want to capture as much fold equity as you can.
Yes.
So therefore, you need the power of all those chips.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, so you have the chance of the fold equity, then plus, if anyone calls, then the percentage chance of your hand winning. Now, when you've pushed with not such a good hand, you're probably going to be underdog to win, but maybe you might be a 36%er. But if this 36% is added on to maybe the 20% or 25% chance of someone passing, overall, it's a favourable move.
I see. We're just skipping tables to see the chip leader at the moment, which is Forza Utrecht, which sounds vaguely fascist. I don't know if it is.
Forza Utrecht. Avenging Loki has raised it with a pair of 8s. Hoik. That's how he calls it, apparently.
Oh, yeah?
Hoik balls, because he was on last night. And Michelle apparently knows how to pronounce his name.
She could definitely do the second syllable, yeah?
Because he'd informed her how to pronounce it.
Yes.
And Hoik is not going to play this one. Well, 10-6 queen, no one is connected. Avenging would like a jack there, would give him a straight. Still no connection for anyone.
We're coming out of that hand because it was the most boring hand in poker history.
You weren't enjoying that one?
I wasn't. It was rubbish. We've got to go to a new feature in the show, guys. First of all, we do want you to get in touch. You've got up to, well, 3 hours actually left to get in touch with the show. So plenty of time to get your questions, queries and anecdotes read out and dealt with on the show. 62211, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. More poker action very soon after this. Well, welcome to a new section of the show, Nick Wealthall's Poker Corner. It's not Nick Wealthall's Poker Corner, it's actually where we're going to have a little chat amongst the pros, and we're going to start off, obviously, James and I, tonight, so let's talk about what we've been up to in the world of poker, James. Mainly because you've been to Moscow, and I want to know what that's like.
All right.
Was it colder or warmer than here?
It was actually colder than here,
Was
I've seen
it?
it, yes. And there was snow on the streets.
Yes.
But it actually varied, the temperature varied, so then it would start to melt, it would be all slushy. and then we started freezing again. It was a bit annoying. I'd rather it was nice crispy snow all the time.
That's the weather.
That's the weather report from
Now,
Friday
is
Night
this
Live.
the first time? Is this the first time you've played poker in Russia?
It's the first time I've been to Russia, Nick.
Ah.
And it was, I think one of the things which tempted me to go there was just to actually go to Moscow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed it. The one thing I will warn people is you need a visa to go there, which of course I didn't realise till the last minute.
Do you?
Yes. And at the last minute,
I didn't know that.
A visa costs you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And you've got to go to one of these special agencies to get you a visa because you need an invitation to get in the country.
Or just 2 bottles of vodka to the immigration guard. Same effect.
That's the route I should have taken.
That is what you should have done. So now let's talk about the poker, because that's supposed to be what we're doing in
All right.
Nick's Poker
But
Corner.
we have a little... Oh, I see. It's
we
special.
do a scene setter.
Oh, that's why it's called your Poker Corner.
I invented that, for which I will get dismissed. What is the poker like? Is it a lot of British and European people decamp to Moscow, or are there local players?
No, this took place at the Corona Casino in Moscow.
Yeah.
And it was on the main drag in Moscow. Don't ask me the name because I've forgotten it. Which is amazing. It's so modern there.
Right.
All these modern hairdressers, bars, discos, everything. You can't believe you're in Moscow.
Discotheques, please. Yeah.
No, they call them discos
Wow.
still there. It sort of sounds like Moscow disco. It rhymes. They like it.
Yeah, okay.
So this casino was very, very, very good. And the poker was run, in fact, by 2 Australian guys, Barry and John Kobeck. He was, in fact, in charge of the whole room. And they put on this festival. And there were a lot of probably quite rich Russian players playing there. Mm-hmm. And the casino really looked after the poker players. They put on a lovely buffet every night for you.
Good.
They had some very attractive valets
Oh,
serving you with vodka.
The key to James's continued participation in any tournament. Attractive hostesses, brilliant.
Like
yeah.
you're not interested, Nick, sorry.
I regard... Let's move on. Can we? And so the poker.
And so the poker.
It's only taken us 3
Yes,
minutes.
well, they had a festival there. I actually only arrived there at the latter stage of the festival, and I played 2 events. I played a pot limit event on the first night, and actually I finished 13th.
Excellent.
But missed the prize
Not
money.
out of 15, out of many more, I'd imagine.
Yes, it was out of quite a few more than that.
Yeah.
But not massive turnout, but I think that the pot limit, I forget what it was. I think it was probably about 70 or whatever. And then on the main event was a $1,000 tournament, and in that one I finished 3rd. And
Well played.
yes, and I feel I did play pretty well in this tournament. I really made an effort to concentrate a great deal. Actually, I did mention briefly last night what I was doing was I made one effort was to never look at my cards until everyone else had finished looking at theirs.
Yeah.
So I really watched everyone because I thought there's a lot of new players there. I've got to learn what these guys are doing.
Good
and I think that helped me a lot. And I felt that helped me in other ways because it made me concentrate more on the other aspects of their game as well. So I was pleased I'd found this sort of bit of regimentation which I was following, and I was pleased with that.
Yeah. Now, is that new for you to not
No,
look at the cards, or is
I
it just
think
something that you drift in and out of? And you...
I'm afraid I think I sometimes drift in and out. I think if I'm
well,
in
it's hard to be disciplined all the time, isn't it? That's the challenge of poker, right?
Also, I think if I'm in a surrounding where I'm very comfortable, and sometimes you get a little bit sloppy, which you shouldn't do.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know that my watching of players throughout the tournament now was really quite sharp. I wasn't overrun with cards, and I really played situations well.
Well, what we'll do in the second section of this chat in an hour's time, we'll talk to you about some of the specific situations, maybe.
Is that Nick's Poker Corner Part 2?
Just trying to do that. Check this out. There'll be more of Nick's Poker Corner Part 2. More chat with James Browning, and we'll get some pro insight into what went on in Moscow in about an hour's time. Welcome back to Tuesday's Poker Night Live. I'm Nick Wealthall. With me is James Browning. We've got 3 hours left of no limit online poker action for you. And James is playing poker, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I started in my break. Do I get extra for that?
Nope.
Okay.
Just less break. James is playing online. If you want to go online and watch him while you watch the show, you absolutely can. Too late to play him, obviously. The game has already started. And he'll be playing that one-table tournament. and then when he's finished in about 3 or 4 minutes or so, all right, a bit longer than that, when he's finished and won the thing, come on, James, we will spin it back for you, watch him with the cards face up like we usually do on the show, and analyse his play. He'll analyse it for us, and you will find out what the mind of a poker pro thinks when he makes his decisions. Are you?
Yeah.
Is it that bad? You're still in? What's wrong with you? And that'll happen at 12 o'clock-ish. So look forward to that. Also, the final of the multi-table tournament will happen later in the show. For now, we're taking your text and your emails, 62211 poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. Michael's emailed in, and he's put a warning that it's a partial bad beat story. I'm going to read it anyway, Michael. Mainly because you put that warning on. And also because there is I think there's a slight learning point from it. He was playing a multi-table tournament with 190 players, and he's got down to the final 11 with 10 places paid, which is a good achievement in itself. As you've probably already guessed, the story doesn't end happily, but obviously he's done well to get that far. He's got 25,000 chips with the blinds at 1,500 and 3,000. He was dealt Queen, Queen, and everyone folded before me. Now, you haven't said, Michael, reading between the lines, it looks like he was sitting in reasonably late position, but I'm not completely sure. And he made it 24,000 to go. Blinds at 1,500 is 3,000. You've got 25,500 chips left. The dealer and the small blind folded. The big blind, who had 35... What's wrong, James?
We can't say what's wrong.
But something's wrong. I mean, there are cats out of bags everywhere, aren't there, if we're honest? I don't want to spoil anything for you viewers, but do you want to try again? I mean, seriously, when I said 3 or 4 minutes, I didn't expect that to be too much time, did I? Bless. Playing a different one. We'll be watching James's 2 attempts at the sit and go later in the show. Back to the email. Michael had 25,000 chips, blinds 1,500, 3,000. He's dealt Queen, Queen. He makes it 24,000 to go. The big blind calls him with 35,000 chips. The flop comes 6, King, Jack. The big blind puts in his 1,400, so moves Michael all in. Michael's only got 1,400 to call. The pot's massive, obviously, so he has to call. And the big blind shows King, Queen. Michael gets knocked out in 11th, 1 off the money. And he's asked a series of questions. Would you have called if you were the big blind? Well, no, I wouldn't. I don't think. Not for 2/3 of my chips that late in the multi-table tournament. Should I have gone all in? I don't think so. Was it a bad play on my part? I think it was a little bit, Michael, I'm afraid. Basically, you've got 25,500 in chips. The blinds are 1,500 to 3,000. It's passed around to you and it's up to you to open. Well, what's wrong with putting in a standard raise there? You can raise maybe, actually, 3 times the big blind is standard. You can maybe even raise slightly less when the blinds are that big. So you might be able to raise 7,500, 8,000, 9,000 if you want. And that will get the job done. That will make people pass unless they're making a mistake and calling with a lesser hand. And it also gives you some backup. That leaves you with 15,000 in chips and enough to get away from the hand. Now, the flop comes down. Let's say the big blind still calls you and the flop comes down King, Jack, 6. And the big blind then moves all in, having made his pair of kings. Well, then it's a reasonably easy pass for you. He may have bluffed you off the pot, maybe, but you've got 15,000 chips left and you're still competitive. Whereas with your pre-flop raise of 8 times the big blind, bear in mind, you've basically manoeuvred yourself out of options. Obviously, you have to put in the last 1,500 on the flop. And I think if you stay tuned, and guys out there, stay tuned until we show the multi-table tournament, probably in the final hour of the show tonight, if not a little bit before, you will probably see people doing the same things, and that is making raises that are too big, pushing all in when they don't have to, and basically playing too fast, if you like, when they've still got room for manoeuvre. And you always in a tournament want to leave yourself room for manoeuvre if you can, unless the situation dictates it's better that you push all in. But there, 8 times the big blind, there's no need to push in, I don't think, or effectively push in, which is what you've done. How you doing, James?
You transfer some money across.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Well, there's not so much in the account. Did you play?
I mean, literally, you've been playing for 5 minutes and you're asking for a loan. You use Kara's account, there's always some in there.
Is there?
Yeah, that's what Tom does, yeah. It's fine. We got a text from Mick. Do you know the answer to this, James?
Come on,
Mick wants to know, why is it called poker? Do you know? I know it comes from a French word, poc,
yes,
but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's come from, it was a card game, so therefore that's where it's come from.
Yeah, but that's kind of gets out of it, doesn't it? It still doesn't say what it means. We don't know. We know where it comes from, but we don't really know why. I think that's fair, isn't it?
I think
we
it's
know it comes from a French game called POC.
I think it's in the back of my mind. I think it is there somewhere, the reason.
I mean, I didn't know there was anything you didn't know about poker, so I know it's in there somewhere.
It is in there somewhere. I think I'm a bit distressed.
Play another game, you'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? Well, that's already happened, so. Guys, we want you to get in touch tonight. We're going to get through lots of your texts and emails, and it couldn't be easier to do that. And have your question, query or anecdote dealt with, laughed at, enjoyed, shared on the show. 62211 if you want to text. If you'd like to email, it's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, or you can call 0906 200 7080. And lots of ways to get in touch. Very easy to do. We've also got a theme tonight, which is we're giving this a spin. See if you guys enjoy it. See if you want to participate. If you're casting poker stars to play poker players in poker stars, sorry. If you're casting TV and film stars to play poker players in a film, who would you cast as who? So my favourite so far is John Goodman to play the Fossil Man, Greg Raymer, the world champion from a couple of years ago. Mine was Jodie Foster to play Annie Duke. I like both of them. Both lovely, I think. What are yours? poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Apparently you've got a couple coming through already. I'm sure there'll be lots more. Do get involved, guys. Bit of fun. We'll go through some of those in about half an hour's time. James is having another go at a tournament, so why don't we check out the MTT? There it is. The blind's at 150-300. Sorry about a bit of radio silence, guys. I was just giving James a motivational chat, telling him it's not all bad. So we are actually reasonably deep into this multi-table tournament, even though the blinds aren't too big. We don't have too many players left. Actually, just 30 players left across 4 tables. And Rosie's and Nash, 2 of the bigger stacks in the tournament. 200 and 400 are the blinds, so we reckon you'd probably need about, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 chips before you started to feel comfortable at this point. So quite a few of the players are shorter stacked. Rosie's doubles the blind on the button. Nothing wrong with that kind of raise if the players are respecting it. If they're using the fact that it's only double the big blind to call, then it's not a big enough raise. But sometimes, as there, it's enough to get the job done. Obviously, if you can steal the blinds for the minimum, well, why wouldn't you do that? And another button raise with a legitimate hand, jacks. Nash wins, and the button moves round. Pair of 8s for Rosie's. Just limps in. I think at this stage in a tournament, and I know not everybody feels this way, but I think once you get past the first couple of levels in a tournament, you should really almost always come in for a raise. The additional equity of the blinds potentially folding means that it's usually the right thing to do. You usually shouldn't be limping. Rosie's going to like this flop. Flopped top set. Put in a bet, which is, I mean, I very rarely argue with people playing a hand in a straightforward manner, so it's never a massive mistake in my view. However, I think that possibly was an opportunity to slow play. yes, there were some potential straight draws out there, but you could have taken a chance. Weissy Week sees an opportunity to move in. We'll be counting his lucky stars with only 1,400 chips left. So he picked up a hand because he wouldn't have wanted to take the blinds again with that shorter chip stack. Button moves, and Weissy picked up another pocket pair. And this could be an example of when you can go from being very short stacked to being healthy in a couple of hands if he gets action here. Marilyn limps in with the king 8. Again, it's hard to see the reason for that. If you are going to play the king 8, you're not really playing it on the basis of the cards, because obviously it's a weak hand. You're playing it on the basis that you're in late position and you've got a chance to steal the blinds. But very difficult to steal the blinds if you're calling, as he did. Weissy moves in with the jacks. Marilyn makes a crazy call with king 8. What are you doing? Well, that's very hard to understand. Must have been playing this tournament for an hour and a half and puts almost all his or her stack in with king 8 offsuit, calling with it as well.
Longer than me.
You're disgusted, aren't you, James?
An hour and a half he's been playing, longer than me.
Almost everyone in a poker tournament on the planet's lasted longer than you did, to be honest, mate. No, no offence, that's just the facts.
Mark Bannon?
What? I don't know about that, I didn't see it. Where did it all go wrong, James?
Well, I'm going to leave it to you to see where it went all wrong.
Did it go wrong, or did you...
I'm not influencing the situation.
All right.
I'm going to leave it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to bite the bullet and listen to the comments from Mr. Nick Wealthall.
Oh, God. If you had to phone up your poker buddy and explain how you went out, would you be happy or embarrassed? No comment. He's not making a comment.
I'm not making a comment because I'm not going to influence the situation. Right. I'm waiting for your...
Stay tuned.
Your analysis.
All right. Both me and the viewers will come to our conclusion, Jane. Don't worry, we'll be completely objective.
You will, won't you?
After we stop laughing.
You will laugh.
Al Pig, one of our multi-table tournament experts, I don't think it would be unfair to say, plays that aggressively, up past 6,000. And Weissy while we were chatting, did win that hand with jacks against the king 8, and has got up to 4,500. And it's an object lesson. If you play in one of these tournaments, if you're playing a no-limit tournament, you're never out of the hunt. As long as you've got a seat in the tournament, you've got a chance.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not...
No, it's just the way you phrased it. I just felt it was directed this direction.
It's not all about you, all right? I understand that you're feeling vulnerable. It's one of those situations where it didn't work the first time, James. Take a little break and try again later when you've got a bit more energy.
How do you top up the account? That's what I want to know.
Get your credit card out. You know how to do that, surely. Well, Sanchez has made a move there, which, if he makes it against a medium stack player, I understand it. Making it as a short stack player is not that clever, because Marilyn is looking for something to make a stand with, and as it happens, Sanchez has won the pot. That's not really the point of discussion. The point of discussion is, how likely is Marilyn to call? Well, actually, incredibly likely, because he is getting almost 3-1 from the pot, and so it's a good situation to put the last chips in. So Sanchez is doing that with king 2, and there's every chance he's going to be called with, and have to face the pot with king 2. Not ideal. Do you need to always bear in mind the size of your opponent's stack whenever you make a move like that. We're going to leave the multi-table tournament for a little bit and move over to a cash game. The multi-table tournament will continue. I know you probably know this by now, but if you are not familiar with the format, we'll dip into it, and we will bring you as much of the final table as we can. Always a great learning experience, the final table of the multi-table tournament, and also good fun to watch as well. We're into our first cash game of the night. And James is all excited because Flirty Liz is playing.
Definitely.
Sorry, you can talk, James. You're all right.
Okay.
Yeah. You excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see Flirty
Say
Liz.
say hello to Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
I'm a bit disappointed about my performance, which you'll be witnessing.
Don't obsess on it. That's the thing. Don't make an issue out of it. You'll get it right next time.
I'm not necessarily saying I've done anything wrong, though. I'm going to leave that to...
Leave it to the viewers. Leave it to the court of public opinion.
The wisdom of Nick.
No, well, that's limited. So. Now, when that game finishes, James, it's a new game. You want to be clicking as soon as it finishes.
Yeah, they're playing deliberately slowly, I think.
You sound like an addict.
You've got to let me on. I want to get on.
So this is our cash game. First time we checked in with a cash game tonight, and I'm sure most of our regular viewers will know. Just in case you don't, the obvious difference between this and a tournament, threefold really. That's real cash on the table. Those numbers now represent cash dollars as opposed to play chips. The second difference is that they can top up how much is in front of them, in between hands obviously, not during a hand. And the third difference is that the blinds don't change. So these blinds, 25 cent, 50 cent, will stay the same as long as this game stays in action, which could be days with an internet game and a live game. And that does affect the play, of course. It means that there's less pressure on your stack, almost no pressure on your stack from the blinds, and it promotes a more conservative style of play. Doesn't mean to say that's the only way to make money in a cash game, but very often that is the way to make money in a cash game. Can vary depending on your opponents, of course, and there are some very successful players that play a loose style, no matter what form poker they play, but it's harder to do, and the natural way to make money in these games is to play tight and aggressive. Crumble follows the aces with kings. That's nice. Didn't make anything with the aces, and won't make too much of the kings, I don't think. Given what's out there. Makes the minimum re-raise. Which, I don't know, not a huge amount of utility in that move, because J-Pez is going to call. I suppose it gives it a good chance of being heads up.
It's not so bad, is it? The kings, he's just realised he's going to get probably one person, maybe two people. It plays reasonably well against that number of people.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it, really.
Doesn't like the ace, but he bets anyway. And that's the best way to find out where he is, otherwise he just doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, when you're heads up and you've raised before the flop, most of the time you should bet after the flop. Not always, there is no always at this game, but most of the time. We're after your texts and emails, guys, on anything you like, particularly if you're playing the games tonight, if you've played with James, if you're playing on this cash table, if you're Flirty Liz and you want to compliment James on his massively smart appearance tonight. Whoever you are tuning in the show, wherever you are, we're glad to have your company, and we'd love to hear from you on our live show. 62211 is the text, and the email's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Also having a bit of fun with a theme tonight, which is if you were casting movie stars, TV and movie stars, to play poker players, not at poker, but to play them in a dramatic part, who would you cast? So, for example, John Goodman as Greg Raymer, Fossil Man, Jodie Foster as Annie Duke, and there are others.
Kate Moss as Stu Unger.
I'd cast Beyonce to play anyone, just so she was on set. Kate Moss as Stu Unger, that's good. Have you sat down?
Ooh. Oh, shit.
James, you are useless. And he also just swore on TV.
Sorry.
Can you apologise, please?
I apologise, please.
You've got one job to do, and you're so busy laughing at your own suggestion
no, I
for the
turned around and
theme.
looked at you, and I missed the table.
That's shocking.
It is. Well, I'm ready for now.
Guys, if you
They're
are
quick, aren't they?
if you are on the table that's about to start, which limit is it, James?
It's good. I think it's down to 5, this one.
Which limit are you about to sit down in? $5?
Yeah.
Guys, if you are about to sit down in the new $5 game when all finishes, if you could leave James a seat, we'd really appreciate it. That would be lovely.
I'm going to go for 7.
Because, as he's proved,
his trigger finger was slow.
it was a little bit slow.
I got distracted with Liz and you talking and jokes and everything. It was too much.
Oh, you've got to multitask on this show, James.
Okay.
No one's saying it's easy. It's good. It's good clicking. Will it be successful? Don't stop. Don't stop. Even though they're still playing, don't stop.
I'm tired now. Yeah, this is a Michelle.
I'd like to apologise to the viewers for the incessant clicking. It is a tiny flaw in the format of the show. Crumble with ace-8 on the button. That's got to be worth a blind steal, surely.
This was Michelle's tip, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do it in moderation.
I mean, you know,
I know what you mean.
probably works better when there are seats available, doesn't it?
Well, we're nearly there.
We're nearly there. Crumble steals the blinds, and round we go.
I've got to start clicking. It could be an all-in. Oh. It's hard work, isn't it?
I can't believe that somebody looking for a seat on an internet game passes for TV entertainment in the modern world. Still, we're stuck with it.
Oh, no, he's going to survive.
Let's have a look at how the players are playing in this cash game.
It's all in again.
This is how they're playing before the flop. Obviously, the more hands there are up there, the more significant these statistics are. But you can see a big variation in the styles. Let's look at James is celebrating the fact that he's got a seat, which is all he's had to celebrate tonight. Come on, James, you can turn it round. But Dazza there, calling an awful lot, playing a very passive style, probably playing too many hands, 28% of hands, and not raising very often. Crumble, raising more, but probably still playing too many hands, I would suggest, anyway.
Could we have a look at the pre-seat clicking stats?
I think you win. As we come back to see first, he is raising under the gun with ace-jack, and that should be enough to take the blinds. And to remind you, James Browning's playing online if you want to go watch him at the same time as watching us.
Yeah, get there quick.
And he's really locked in, he's really got his game face on. Definitely not messing about. And as we break off from the... This is James Browning's game face. You do look incredibly smart, James.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Are you going on somewhere afterwards?
Yes, I'm going to be on Poker Night Live.
Really?
With Nick Wealthall.
Yeah.
I took part in Nick's Poker Corner, you know.
Did you?
Yes. It's quite
That's ongoing. We've got more of that coming up.
It was quite a buzz. He said I was his smartest guest he's ever had.
Yes, that is definitely factually correct. So we've got a full table at this 25-cent, 50-cent cash game, reminding you the players can put down up to $50. So if you see anyone here over $50, as many of the guys are, and girls, this means they've made a profit for this buy-in. Obviously, they could be on their fourth buy-in, they could be losing money elsewhere, but on this table, this buy-in, they are up. And Tragic Trev there, one of our regular contributors to the show. Evening, Trev. Having a good night so far on this table. Hopefully he'll let us know if he's having a good night overall. We hope so. Ace Queen for Crumble. And different options here. You can raise with Ace Queen under the gun. You can limp with Ace Queen under the gun. Depends on the game you're in, I think. This so far has looked like a relatively passive game, which I think would probably make you more likely to... I haven't really been watching the game long enough, but I think it would make you more likely to raise because of the extra chance that you may take the blinds with that raise. Looks like Crumble will be successful in taking the blinds here. He is. Crumble also contributed to the show in the past. Hope to hear from you tonight, mates. You and anyone else that would like to contribute, it's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk on the emails. And in about half an hour, we'll be watching James Browning playing poker. We've got 2 goes to watch.
You're not allowed to peep.
Got yourself into more trouble, have you, James? Scab makes a bet at this pot, and it should be successful. Crumble's thinking about a call. I don't know how seriously he can be thinking about this. He's only got bottom pair. Not really getting odds to improve his hand, and he's timed out, so he obviously had something more interesting to do. Maybe eating some crumble, which would be brilliant. Bit of a craving now, to be honest. It's because it's still cold. It's still a place for a crumble in our lives, even on March the 21st. Shocking, I think. Scab makes up the blind. Not a play I'm a massive fan of. I don't see why you wouldn't raise there. The big blind's got 2 random cards, and every chance that you can take the big blind there and then. Well, he knows he's got a good chance of having the best hand, so pretty nice play after the flop with the check raise. And if you're confused by that 25 cent in front of crumble, that's a missed blind. So he timed out. Obviously he was away from his computer, or just not paying attention or whatever, and he missed his small blind, so he needs to make that up to keep everything fair and above board. You still alive, James?
Well, I think I'm on oxygen.
You're on oxygen again? Can you please have some respect for your chips?
I've got respect. I've actually walked into sort of rather peculiar situations. I think I lost the minimum on a hand. But you better check it out.
We will all check it out, collectively. Bit of action on this hand. Jack Alley's either varying his play or just got a bit bored, made a raise, and we've got 3 callers. And Tragic Trev is going to be loving that. He's flopped his set, but he can't mess about. The flush draw's out there, and as we can see, Stevie C has got that flush draw. So no messing about, and Trev does the right thing, puts in a bet. And a check raise from Stevie C. Interesting way to play the flush draw, very aggressive. And now Tragic Trev's got 2 options. He can either call and look to raise Stevie C on the turn, or he can go all in there, and he has. And it's not worked out well for him. He needs the board to pair, and it has. Well, look at that. That's a big, big hand at the 25, 50 cent level. And Tragic Trev didn't mess about when he was check raised on the flop. Moved in with his 7s, and Stevie C decided to call, which was a big call when you consider that he's actually only got the flush draw on the overcard. Moving in with a flush draw and the ace overcard is reasonably standard play in no limit hold'em. You'll see that quite a lot. But calling all in, a little bit more iffy. Anyway, we got drama, flush came, and then we got the full house. James, you still alive? Because I'll be honest, if you bust out again quickly, we don't have a show. The format's torn apart.
I'm trying my best.
Good man.
He's not very good at the
minute. He won't
minute.
let us down twice. We've been having a bit of fun tonight, guys, with who would you cast to play the big names in poker if there was a film involving the big names in poker. I don't know how that would happen.
Someone says here, you're not very confident of me, Nick.
Not very confident of you.
Yeah.
I'm massively confident of you.
Yeah, tell him.
I introduced you as one of Europe's leading poker players.
Thank you.
Giving the lie to that, aren't you? Making me look bad. He's going to turn it around. I know he has every faith. Julian. Thank you, Julian's emailed in. He would cast Jack Nicholson as the devilfish. Good. Will Smith as Phil Ivey. Don't know, Will's a bit loud for Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey's really quiet. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someone more studious.
I'd have Tiger Woods as Phil Ivey.
He's not an actor.
No.
You still don't understand the game, do you?
I don't understand this one. I've just been knocked out the first one.
Professional games player, 20-odd years. Rowan Atkinson as Marty Wilson. I like that one, Julian. You like that one? He doesn't like that one. I think that's a good one.
Marty Wilson's not an actor.
Crikey. Meanwhile, back in the nursery. Barry the Bully Martin. Good evening to you, Barry. How are you? Well, I trust. One of our fellow presenters has emailed in, and he's done his own nominations. Yul Brenner as Chris Jesus Ferguson. That's a hair joke.
I quite like that.
Yeah, it continues. Denzel Washington as Phil Helmuth. I'll leave that one to Barry. Sid Owen as Johnny Chan. And he's put a very important note for me. Annie Duke is actually separated from her husband. The rumour is that Andy Black got there first. Well, you know, that's the rebound. And then apparently Barry thinks James could stand a chance with his love suit on. He's referring to your beautiful attire tonight. Great show as always. Thank you, Barry. Very kind. And finally, Amy Murray. Thank you for this, Amy, although I'm a little bit worried about you. But thank you anyway. Hi, Nick and James. Good to see my two favourite fellas back on the box together. Dr. Tom and Casper with their smooth, dulcet tones and steely deadpan stares. A bit miserable, aren't they? Right. Bless them, but they need a bit of perking up. Maybe the thinking woman's choice. This is disappointing. Give me the cuddly and goofy option any time. I don't know which I'd least like to be, cuddly or goofy. Thanks, Amy. I'm going to take it as a compliment because I have to for my own self-esteem. If possible, I'd really appreciate signed photos of you both. James Son shirt and Nick Son trousers. Not that cheap. Quick cut and splice job to create the Uber poker pin-up would provide hours of enjoyment. Amy, if it pleases you, that's good. I don't know what to think. Thank you for the email and thank you for the love. Hope you're having a good night, whatever you're doing, and thank you for watching and contacting us. Keep the text and emails coming. We're having loads, which is great, and we'll get through a lot more before the end of the show, I promise. 62211 is the text number, poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. Play along with our Who Would You Cast to Play Poker Players game. Why don't you? Or ask us anything you like connected with this great game. Let's check in with the MTT, which will have progressed a little bit since last time. The inexorable march of time and the blinds. We'll guarantee that. We're down to 17 players over 3 tables, so they're not hanging about. And we've got the big stack on this table. Costello, maybe that is. He used to have a boss called Kevin Costello. Never liked him. Hope you're watching, Kevin. Now you know the truth. If that's you, I hope you lose. If it isn't you, I hope you win, because I wouldn't wish ill on any other. But actually, to be fair, I didn't like any of my bosses. That's why I left. It didn't work out.
I can't do it. There's so many texts going on there. I'm trying to read them. It's hard to keep up.
What's your
They're
job,
good.
James?
They're good at typing, aren't they?
A little bit easier for them. They're not having to play poker.
Which were you
in front of a
anyway? You
watching
goofy or
audience.
cuddly? I can't remember.
You were goofy and cuddly. I wasn't mentioned.
Oh, right.
She wants a signed photo of us without our clothes on. It's not going to happen.
There's always a prize.
We're just not getting into that discussion. It's weird.
It's weird.
L. Trev with Ace Queen, and that's nice. See, he's got an opportunity to come over the top here. I think there's a very good argument for pushing all in. He folds. Goodness me.
Balrog said, I believe Nick was probably goofy.
You see, I used to like Balrog. He was nice to me when I was playing. Why? Why do we have to go down this personal abuse road? I think L. Trev missed an opportunity.
Sorry. It wasn't me.
What are you doing? Are you playing or are you joining in the show? Right? You know your job.
I was missing you.
You're missing me. Just win the tournament, will you? Otherwise we look bad as a unit.
If I can come back from here, it'll be all Roses.
Yes. Noddykins check raising with the ace. Nice play, and it should be successful.
They're quite humorous, these guys.
Apparently so. You do know that the viewers at home can't see what they're writing.
No, I know
So
that.
you just sound like a giggling idiot.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't apologise, I'm just telling you.
How on earth did I win that pot?
Ah, the joys of partial commentary. Kung Connie King.
Do you know how
Which
many
is
people
nice.
are watching this on the net? Sorry.
12? 100?
There's a lot.
Good. You're watching our multi-table tournament and listening to the basically mental ramblings of James Browning as he plays live in a different tournament. We're going to be watching James's 2 attempts to win a single table tournament after the top of the hour, sometimes just after 12. For now, we're down to 17 or 19, one of the two, 19 I think it was, players in our multi-table tournament. 17 in fact we're down to now. So getting really to the business end. All of these players are in the money, but they're not too interested in what they've got in the bank so far. They want to go for the bigger prizes. And this is the business end of the tournament where you can really pick up some chips if you make the right decisions. Quite often, later in the tournament, players start to play tighter because they want to get into the bigger prize money. Well, there's not a huge amount of evidence of that here. It's been quite lively since we joined it. And Costello bets with gritted teeth, because you never want to see the ace when you've got the kings. Noddykins calls, and Costello doing what I think is the right thing, which is shutting down then. Well, I can pull that, it's only 1600.
Can I speak?
No. All right, what?
Julian Clary is Nick.
He's not really an actor, though, is he? This is just people that look a bit like me. People and animals that look a bit like me is what we're doing now, is it? And I wouldn't be in a movie anyway. I'm not famous. Doing famous poker. Can you tell them? Famous poker
They can
players.
hear.
We're not doing people that look like the presenters
Nick, they
of the
can
show.
hear us. They can type and hear. They're there. They're watching you.
All right, well, I hope they're taking it in.
Which animals look like Nick? They're very keen on this.
That's not what we're doing either. L-Pig moves in with the ace-9, a bold move, and he picks up the blinds. L-Pig doesn't hang around and allow the blinds to get his stack to the point where it's not a threat. This is what we try and communicate to you in multi-table tournaments, guys. You don't want your stack to get down to the point where a big raise from you, an all-in move from you, isn't frightening to the other players. If they've got you covered to that extent, you're in trouble. And Collie's in trouble here with the ace-king against kings. Not a happy place, and sadly for him, that's a very bad situation to find a big hand in, if there's a bigger hand in the small blind. And I think understandable that he went out there. Didn't do a whole bunch wrong, just ran into a monster in the small blind. Let's spin you off to another multi-table tournament. Tournament? Excuse me. Same tournament, another table. And Noddykins has just moved over us for a couple of the others because we're down to 2 tables. I'll find my teeth and get you a sentence in a minute, and then you'll enjoy the show. We are down to 2 tables. We have got 16 players left with a chance of winning this multi-table tournament. Big variety in the stack sizes now, and when you get down to the business end of the tournament, stack size is as important as any other factor, I believe. L-Pig might well move in here with the 9s. Never the worst move in the world to move in when you've got 10 times the big blind, a hand like a pair of 9s, because you don't make a normal raise and give somebody the option of coming over the top for you, because then you're in a very difficult situation. And pushing in means that unless you're unlucky and you find a big pair behind, you're probably going to get the blinds there and then. You don't really want to see a flop with 9s. Certainly at this stage of the game. Pot and pan will be relieved to pick up the blinds. move around. And as I was saying, big variety in the stacks. You can see 2 of our players on this table, 3,000 chips, 4 times the big blind. They're in serious emergency territory. Noddykins has got a massive amount of chips, 43,000. The blinds at 400 and 800. He's very comfortable. Although I still wouldn't be comfortable enough to call a raise with Queen Jack offsuit. If he wants to use his lots of chips in that way, he's better off calling with something like 6-7, where he knows he's probably not going to be dominated by a raising hand. As it is, he's up against it with the King Jack. Although this is the power of stacks. This is why I'm saying that stack size is so important. Jester is not going to be keen to play against him because Jester knows he can get bust, so he checks twice when a bet would have taken it. Shows weakness to Noddykins. Noddykins can make a bet, and that big stack can scare Jester off. Stack size is tremendously important towards the end of a tournament. Ace King for Gilberto, one of our regular players, and Gaza Louis not going to like his timing here because he's run into a hand. And Gilberto goes all in, as we discussed slightly earlier in the show, making sure it's heads up. And not as big a favourite as you'd think, probably about a 2-to-1 favourite there. Gilberto, but it was good enough. The ace wrapped it up and we lose a player. These players have all obviously done well to get this far, but it's at this stage of the tournament where you really start to lock in and you want to make that final table, the final table which we will bring as much of as we can to you guys. We're about 10 minutes away from a break. Hopefully we'll get time to do some of your emails before that break, or after, or both. More of Nick's Poker Corner coming up as well. I'm sure that's whipping you into a frenzy. I know James is excited. You're still in, James.
What's this blue thing here?
That's an empty seat.
Oh.
That means you're not last.
Oh, that's good news.
That's nice, isn't it?
I wondered what that blue thing was. I see it in the bottom there. It looked unusual.
Well done, mate. El Pig has had the flop of his dreams here, and he's playing it cagily. Can't blame him for doing that. He knows he's ahead. He'd be fantastic unlucky not to be, trying to extract some value. And now he decides to move in on the end. And wow, Costello calls him well. That's like finding money in the street for El Pig. I don't know what Costello was calling there. It's one of those moves that we see on the show. I was talking about seeing more and more in poker where people try and make a heroic call. Costello there only had ace high and he's trying to pick off a bluff. Well, occasionally you can do that in poker, but it's pretty tough to do on a regular basis, and it's even tougher to do it online because of the fact you've got less information on the other player. And really, ace high for that many chips wasn't the soundest move. And El Pig, up to 18,000, we're going to see another good performance from him. Love to hear from you, El Pig, after the tournament. Tell us your secret. The viewers would love to know, how do you keep doing so well in our multi-table tournaments? poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email address for any of you if you'd like to interact with the show. Particularly fun to hear from people that are in the tournaments, but we don't mind whoever you are, and even if you've just found the show, we'd like to hear from you tonight. Jester another little bet, and this time it's enough to move Noddykins, and he'll take down the pot. And we'll spin you over to the other table. Just 2 tables left in this multi-table tournament. Down to our last 15 players. And Golden Jaguar I recognise from previous nights. And Howick which I believe is pronounced Hoik Bowles there. Also a previous visitor to the show. Some short stacks on this table with the blinds at 400 and 800. Lots of entries, James, to the Casting Poker Players as People competition. I can see I've got you at a sensitive moment. So the viewers out there obviously understand it, even though you don't. Lacquer, all in with the ace-10, which is fair enough. If he makes a normal raise there of 2,000, 2,400, he's pretty much pot committed. It's right on the borderlines as to whether you push in or whether you make a raise. Again, it depends. We talk a lot about the standard raise of 3 times the big blind. But as I said earlier, it depends what gets the job done. If you're at a table or a stage in the tournament where doubling the big blind has the same effect, has the effect of people folding their hands unless they've got a very strong hand, then why would you do anything more than double the big blind? You obviously want to put the fewer of your chips in danger that you can, whilst encouraging people to fold. Can Conley, a nice situation, having a decent hand on the button, so when he raises it looks a little bit like a steal, or it looks a lot like a steal. As we can see, a real hand with the ace-queen. No action though, takes down the blinds, which have gone up to 500, 1,000. And that's put 2 or 3 of these players in serious danger. Skin Up moves in just a little bit more than the big blind. It's going to cost Hoyt Balls 10 chips to call, so I think he might. Getting roughly 200 to 1 from the pot. 250 to 1 on this call. So he'll probably make it. However, Skin Up has the ace and hits the ace and will survive by the skin of his teeth. That's our multi-table tournament. 15 players left, getting to the business end of things. And it won't be too long before they're at the final table. And as I said, we'll bring as much of that as we can. We were debating the origins of the word poker. Both James and I knew that it was from a French game called POC. But the Poker Night Live audience being what they are, we know you're the most knowledgeable watchers in TV. Crash Flux has emailed us in to say, poker took its name from the word POC, pronounced poke, so I've been pronouncing it wrong as well. A poke is an old-fashioned term for a man's purse. Nowadays, of course, if you have a man's purse, you're a little dick. And the old cheating card sharps would relieve a sucker of his poke, and thus all his money. So there's the origin, James.
Oh, well, that's a little bit different to what I've heard before, but that's quite a nice one.
Yeah. Can you concentrate on your game, please?
I am.
Oh, dear. Guys, do get in touch. Poker at Poker Night Live. I'm doing a show.
Sorry. We are?
Well, are we? The email's poker@pokernight.live.co.uk, 62211 to get in touch. Lots of you playing the Casting People to Play Poker Players game. Keep those coming in. We're going to be back in a little bit. First, an exciting new part of the show you've all been enjoying. Well, welcome back to Nick's Poker Corner, a new section of the show, and let's face it, it's only going to last for one night before I get thoroughly reprimanded. Joining me tonight in Nick's Poker Corner is James Browning. Hello, James.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Well, we've got brandy and everything. It's brilliant, figuratively speaking. Now, you were talking to us before about your experiences playing poker in Russia.
Yes,
with
that's
the
right.
Rushkis. They don't have a deck where the royals, like the kings and the queens in the deck, have been usurped by other red cards, do they? They don't have that.
No, but I'll tell
Political
you what.
comment. Brilliant.
I did notice they were advertising a site there. I think it was Red Star Poker, but there you go.
Keep it simple. Go with what works. Now, you were telling us about your successes in the tournament.
Yes.
After telling us that it was a thoroughly good place to play poker, for those of you that haven't ventured that far east.
Oh, it was brilliant. They
Which
really
I think is
looked
almost
after you
all of
well.
us. That's good.
Really well.
Now, do you have a situation or a hand you'd like to share with us from the tournament that's stuck in the memory?
Nothing particular.
That doesn't help the interview, James, I'll be honest.
But what I felt was I wasn't overrun with cards.
Yeah.
And I basically had to follow with what I said before. I was really watching players and I was building up information. Now, I found a player when we were 2 tables out,
Yes.
who I suddenly found had the power to pass very big hands and show me and want confirmation that he'd done the right thing. Well, I gave him this confirmation every time.
Obviously.
He'd always made a great pass. His ace-jack, great pass. Ace-queen I had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fantastic how he sensed it.
Yes.
Okay, I
It's
fibbed.
extraordinary, isn't
I
it?
fibbed, I'm sorry. But I'd found this was a great customer. So I eventually get to the final. And when I get to the final, lo and behold, I find my pal here is on my left.
Perfect.
So it's the first hand. I'm actually in reasonably good position. And my very first hand, I am a little bit low on the final. I just push. I ask the question. I just go all in. And I've already got my pal on the left. He, he wrestles, he's up and down, but he eventually passes. And then the other guy, I think, passes again. Vump. Well, I'd set my stall quite well at the final that I might be going to be quite aggressive, etc., etc. And that's basically, by using him a little bit, I'm now looking for other people. I was able to sort of get into the tournament without particularly finding any real hands.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good tip, and it's something that good players do all the time, which is I think as people slowly learn the moves that you can make in tournaments, obviously stealing the blinds becomes a part of it, particularly later on in the tournament when the blinds get big. But too often people do it sort of by rote, automatically on the button, for example. Whereas the way that a good player will do it is he will find somebody who he thinks will give up their blinds easily and is extremely unlikely to play back at them, as James found. And that's how you make your money, isn't it?
One little extra there as well is, I said I was actually watching the players quite a lot. I think it must be because through experience, by delaying, I sometimes sense when somebody actually has got a hand.
Right.
For some reason, an antenna goes off, and I can almost feel them. They just look too happy.
Now, you've been saying to me about judging when to move. We've talked about you being short-stacked and wanting to move in, and you've been saying that McGreal's M, now we've only got 1.5 minutes, so you're going to have to... In fact, let me explain it very quickly. Basically, it's just a way of calculating how much your stack is worth. So quite often on this show, we talk about the number of big blinds in your stack. McGreal's M, is the amount it costs you to see a round of play. So the small blind plus the big blind plus any antes, how many of those you have in your stack, isn't it?
Yes.
And you think that's the better yardstick to use in bigger tournaments?
I think that works far better. I was in Austria, and this is where I really found the nitty-gritty of this, where we started with 10,000 chips, the levels were 1.5 hours, and we did have running antes. Now, I found the M worked perfectly for that type of tournament.
Yeah.
But I've checked it out in other tournament situations where you don't start with as many chips, and you don't have a running ante, and I have to say I don't think it's always right. So, which is a little bit controversial. I'm going to agree with the great Harrington, but I don't. But where there's a big starting stack and running ante, I think the M is the Bible.
Okay, interesting. Well, clearly it's something that as you get more tournament experience, I actually think that you develop a feel for when you need to move, don't you, as opposed to a purely mathematical calculation.
True, but in Austria, I followed that M to the line.
It worked for you. Guys, it is whatever works for you. Check out you can learn more about the M in Harrington's books. We're going to be back with more from Nick's Poker Corner with my special guest, James Browning, in about an hour. Welcome back to Poker Night Live on a Tuesday night. We're into the second half, and this is the good half. So stay tuned. We've got James's tournaments with expert analysis from James.
Okay.
And by analysis, I mean excuses. And we've also got the final multi-table tournament coming up, which is always great stuff. And to keep us sustained in the downtime, we've got your texts and emails. As ever, guys, you dictate what we talk about. And we've had a theme tonight.
Yes.
It's been a little bit of fun. What actors from... Now, there has been some confusion, mainly with you, I admit. What actors from TV and film, pay attention, would you have playing the big names in poker if they were cast as them? We've had a very good response on it. Soxaldino from Newquay has given us a few. Phil Ivey, played by Snoop Dogg. My producer just went, no. So obviously not. Eric Seidel, Robert Lindsay. That's all right. No, don't like that either. Daniel Negreanu, Brad Pitt. I can't have that. Tiffany Williamson, Whoopi Goldberg. That's good.
That's good.
Solid. Vinny Favato, Sylvester Stallone.
Who's Vinny Favato?
Not a clue.
Okay.
He's a poker player that's a bit like Sylvester Stallone. He says, great show, and he says, Nick, you cracked me up. Thank you for that. Big Jace has emailed in, says, great show as always. A couple of ideas. Doyle Drunson could be played by the guy who played Boss Hogg in Dukes of Hazzard. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dukes of Hazzard was basically rubbish, except for the obvious, Catherine Back, and the fact that whenever Boss Hogg came in, he was always eating something ridiculous. One week they had him with a bar of chocolate that was that big, and he just had it like that as he did his lines. Brilliant. It's not really a character, is it? It's just funny.
Oh, you missed one out there. There's a good one.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Phil Ivey could be played by Paul Ince.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Right. Paul Ince
Yes.
was a professional footballer,
Yes.
still is, right? That's not the game we're playing.
All right.
That's a looky-likey. That's a different game.
He's played in a film, though, hasn't he? He's taken part in a film.
Do you know what my favourite Paul Ince thing was? This is absolutely true.
He has been. He has acted actually as well.
Been in a film, acted, different words.
Okay.
But we'll go with Paul Ince. My favourite Paul Ince story, which I have to tell you, is when Eric Cantona did his flying kung fu kick at Crystal Palace. Ground filled to capacity. I think it was a cup game of some description. 18,000 people there. Bear this in mind. Paul Ince runs over to where Eric Cantona's kicked a supporter, remember, and goes, "Come on, then we'll take you all on." How's that going to work, Paul? 18,000. Zed has sent a very entertaining email, which again isn't quite the game we're playing, but let's face it, we don't care. He's cast the entire Poker Night Live experts, commentators, presenters.
Right.
So we've got Dr. Tom, played by Gene Wilder. I think that's brilliant. That's on the money. Matt Brown, played by Ben Affleck. Slightly too complimentary to Matt. Mark Bannon, played by John Turturro. That's not bad. I'm played by Matt Damon. That's obvious, isn't it? Preppy college. Preppy college guys with some secret agenting skills, which I do have. I can drink martini. Casper Berry, played by Vinnie Jones. Now, we don't understand this, do we?
I don't. I can't imagine Casper in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels or whatever it was.
I can't imagine Casper smashing someone's head in a car door.
No.
Or playing football badly. Actually, I can't imagine that. James Browning, played by Christopher Lloyd. Yes. Well, it's true, isn't it? Michelle Orr, played by Natasha Henstridge. You know who that is? She was in Species, the science fiction supermodel.
Yeah.
It's just ludicrously complimentary to Michelle, not realistic. Barry Martin, played by Michael Barrymore. I'm really sorry, Barry, if you're still watching. Somebody sent that in.
Well, they've both got the word Barry in it.
There you go. Kara Scott, played by Madeline Stowe. That's fair enough. And this one is good. Malcolm the Rock Harwood, played by the dad from Frasier.
Oh.
Good. I like it. We like that, Zed. Good email. Thank you, mate. That's made us laugh.
Good work.
Very good work. Speaking of very good work, here's the opposite. James Browning's tournaments.
Hang on, don't slant it. It might be good work.
No, I'm joking. We're going to watch James's tournaments now. He had 2 goes, and we will find out what he did and why.
Don't go to make a cup of tea.
No. So this is the first one. And you sat down. Now, talk to us a little bit about the experience, James. You haven't played Beat the Presenter before. Did you enjoy it?
I'll tell you what, I've played a lot of poker, and it had a different sort of feel to it.
Yeah, I agree.
And all of a sudden,
it's a very strange
that chat box is very lively and certainly distracting.
Yes.
Plus that you're there as well, which is very distracting.
Very distracting.
And so it was a new experience, but I enjoyed it. Obviously a bit disappointed. In fact, I did a funny little click here, I remember, by mistake. Not by mistake, yeah, probably by mistake. Here we are, I've got a pair of 8s and small blind. Actually, I just do a flat raise here. But it's good enough. I think you're distracted at the moment, I haven't clicked.
I don't expect to receive all the blame.
No, you're not
happens.
going to receive any blame.
Okay.
Hurry up, Browning.
Just a little bit.
Oh, there we are, flat raise, and Carados gives me the utmost respect and passes.
With his Jack 4.
Yes. Well, that's about the best of it, really.
Is that really the
That's
peak?
a highlight, that's a highlight.
My goodness. My goodness. Now, do you recognise any of the people you're playing with?
Well, I can remember the names, yes.
I mean, you know, from previous Poker Night Lives.
Yes.
Yes.
Shaky Shark was on last night, and obviously Robin Joanne's been a regular, Making Jam, Geordie.
Yeah, nice to see Robin Joanne back.
Lots of the guys and gals there.
Been around for a while. Yeah, Making Jam.
Okay, we've got Ace King in the small blind, very nice. Browning passes, I think at least correctly there. Making Jam's limped in with Jack Queen. What's Carados going to do? Raises up to 100. 5 times a big blind, a meaningful raise. Making Jam passes. Shaky Shark, King Queen, raises it up to 80 under the gun. I don't think that's particularly good, but he gets the Ace Queen to pass. From Geordie.
Now, would you play that?
I wouldn't have done that.
You wouldn't raise, obviously.
Not in the early stages of the sit and
limp,
go.
or would you just throw it away?
I might have limped with it, yeah. I could have thrown it away under the gun, either. But I wouldn't have done that play, but he's had success with it and got a better hand to put its hand down. But early stages, I think he's, in fact, making too big a pot with a dangerous hand.
Yes, I agree. Well, Making Jam's making moves, but moving into Carados' top pair.
That's right.
Maybe I'm too conservative, but I would have raised there if I was Carados. That flop is all right for Ace King, but it's dangerous.
It is, but I think he's probably keeping control of the size of the pot. And I think actually controlling the size of the pot at early stages, because you've still got quite a bit of play, is quite good. And he's taken that down.
Okay, interesting.
Once you get beyond your starting stack and you start to get a few more chips, now you can afford to step on the gas a little bit. I think it's very much early stages, a little bit keyhole surgery. Because it's a fine balance of trying to accumulate...
Sorry, I just think it's funny that you're talking this way, given what's about to happen.
I'm trying to give my best advice.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
no,
what's
no, it's great, it's great.
You're presuming what's going to happen is terrible.
Well, everybody knows what happens in the first go. We don't know what happens in the second go, but we do know what happens in the first go, because you're talking to me, and I said, and we were talking about getting you in another game in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, there could be extenuating circumstances.
No, I'm sure there are. It's just funny that you're talking about controlling the size of the pot,
yes,
keyhole surgery, when we're about to see a ruddy great pile-up.
I still am obliged to give my best advice.
Well, you're a very ethical man. In fact, you look like a professional person tonight, so...
Well, I am a professional player, so it's fair enough.
That is fair enough.
Browning with ace-2 under the gun.
Not going to tempt
passes.
him. Not going to tempt him. The rock that is Browning.
I think that phrase will be changed later on as well.
Well, that's good for your image.
J-Pez, pair of 3s. Is he going to consider to have a look? He's in Lacia's position there. Yes, he decides to limp in. Robin passes a small blind. Making Jam rather nice. Got a straight draw and the top pair. Can't get a much better flop for Queen 10 than that. Well, obviously you could have 8, 9, Jack. That'll be a better flop, but I mean...
Let's not be greedy.
Browning with Ace 5 on the big blind.
If it's free, you might play, mightn't you?
Oops, there's a raise there from Queen 8. It's probably enough to frighten Browning out.
Watching yourself, James, exciting, isn't it? Do you think that's me up there?
Nothing. No, not really.
Oh.
Nothing wrong there. I think I don't want to be calling with Ace 5 there, early stages. Why do I want to be guessing?
No.
I'm going to be out of position. I don't know where I am if I hit an ace. The guy's raised. As we can see, he's raised with Queen 8, but I don't know that. I don't need to be getting in a guessing game, so I don't mind what I did there. Shaky Shark, he loves his King Queens. Yes, he's loved it again. Raises 4 times the big blind. Jack 6 doesn't like it, I don't think, and neither does 4 deuce.
Quite a passive table. Not passive, it's a very quiet table.
Yes, I think it's probably people want to be stay on air for quite a long time.
Yeah, we've also discovered that people play quite quietly until the presenter gets knocked out.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure why, but they definitely do.
Maybe there's a bounty on our heads.
Is there?
I don't know.
No.
Could be.
That's a rumour started.
They were all threatening to bully. 4, 5, 9. And Carados there pops in a little 40 into a pot of 80. What does Skinner think about that? Gives him the benefit of the doubt and passes. I'm still in, Nick.
Yes.
Were you looking at your clock to see your watch to see how long I'd lasted there?
Yeah. I'm impressed. It's longer than I remember it.
Feels like I've played for a long time.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
You got your money's worth. Not that it was your money, but...
No, thank goodness. Geordie there, Queen Jack. I've not been overrun with cards at the moment, I don't think, really.
Don't know what to say. No, in the, 10 hands we've watched, you haven't been overrun by cards. If you did play with James tonight, or you watched him play, poker@pokerlightlive.co.uk is the address for your compliments, criticisms, entertaining anecdotes.
Ooh, you mixer.
We like to hear from guys that watched you play live.
Liz, if there's anything nasty, protect me.
Begging's not an attractive quality, James. Skinner, 1977.
Raised it up 4 times the big blind on the button. A general lack of juicy hands, actually.
Yeah, that's fair. I haven't seen many big starting hands, have we?
Pass, pass, pass.
And that, coupled with the fact that players haven't been wanting to get into pots unless they have to, has meant a quiet opening to this sit and go. Oh, ace queen, James.
What happened here?
I don't know. It's your first hand. Puts in the big raise.
What did you think of that?
It's all right. It's fine. Now, those of you at home with a gift for precognition can already see that's not a great situation for you.
And I've walked into trips. The thing is here, I've got to flop 3 spades. I think it's highly unlikely that someone has flopped the flush. But I do believe that I might get someone to come along there who's got a flush draw and decided I could be in a favourable situation to actually double up there. Plus I've raised and I've hit the top pair. So what do I want? I've actually raised a hand, I've increased the stakes where I've got a hand, and I've hit the top pair with a pretty good kicker.
You have gone broke in the second level, though.
I don't like that.
No.
So what would you have done?
Oh, it's been brilliant. I'd have...
What would you have done? No, seriously, it's a good point. Okay, so I've raised 160.
It's very difficult, isn't it?
Ace Queen
Because
suited is a quite a good hand.
I guess you have the option to limp instead of raising pre-flop. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't have, because...
So you'd have raised?
Well, it's a very quiet table, so there's a lot of equity in raising pre-flop. I don't, you know...
That's why I've done it.
I think that the problem that you've got is once the flop comes down 3 suited with your top pair, you have to bet. You can't not bet.
I'm obliged to bet because of the flop.
Because you can't allow, if your opponent's sitting there with ace spade, you can't allow him to draw at that for free. You can't. So I do think you're in a tough spot there. I do think it's difficult to get away. I mean, I suppose maybe you could bet a little bit less.
What, and let someone pretend they've got a flush?
This is it. This is the problem, isn't it?
What can I do? I believe that the equity I've got when someone's sitting there with the king of spades in their hand and they won't put the hand down, this is amazing for me. Because I'm in a situation there where I'm nearly 2's on.
Yeah.
To get doubled up. Now, to walk into trips, I can't put the guy. We're short stacked in this game, basically.
Yeah.
I can't put the guy. I haven't got time to find out if the guy's got chips.
The only hands you're actually worried about are ace king and jacks. Those are the only hands that you're really worried about.
I don't believe on this table that the guy had ace king, because I think that he might well have re-raised me on this table with ace king.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's tough to say. Personally, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think, if anyone's got a different perspective. Personally, I think that's just a difficult situation for James, and I think it's...
So am I exonerated on that one?
That's not for me. I can't...
No, you can. You give your opinion.
At the gates of judgment, you will be... No, I gave you my opinion. I don't think you did much wrong at all.
Good.
I'm pretty sure I would have...
Ended up the same way?
Ended up the same way.
Okay.
I think... What did you bet on the flop? Can you remember?
Yes, I bet something like 430. But I'm more or less saying I'm going to be going all in anyway. I'm actually wanting the guy with the spade to come along.
With the spade to come along, yeah. Interesting one. Poker at pokernightlive.co.uk. If you've got an opinion on it, if you've got a different opinion, it'd be great to hear it. And James will tell you you're wrong after discussing it thoroughly. Let's look at James's second spin around the poker merry-go-round, shall we? Here it is. So 2 goes.
You don't have to sort of pronounce that so much.
Sorry.
Could be someone just joined now. They didn't know about the first one.
No, I've played twice myself, and I haven't made the money yet. So
okay.
I cannot throw stones, for I am in a glass house.
Well, I passed ace-9 suited under the gun there.
Did you?
Yes. I decided I didn't want to limp in there to start with. It might well have encouraged a raise, which I wouldn't want to be calling. If I'm going to do any limping, it's probably going to be in a later position, where I've got more, I have more idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if I limp in early position, I said it probably might generate a raise from someone, which I'm not going to call.
Do you know what I just don't like?
Yes.
Bad aces in Hold'em.
Pair of 9s.
Only the second hand.
Yes. And I found a monster.
Well.
There's a small raise from Will, called by CR. Up to Buffy Be Good.
So it's going to cost you another 20.
Well, I'm definitely going to have a look, I would imagine, which I do.
Which you do. That's not your flop, is it, really?
It's not my flop. I'm in early position, so I think I decide to check.
Heads up, it wouldn't be too bad a flop for a pair of
You
nines.
see, it's rather good flop for CR.
It's rather good, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, he's flopped a flush.
You can be reasonably pleased.
So Will checks, and CR checks as well. I've now got it up and down straight.
Yes.
But I'm not getting overexcited, so I check.
It's not one you want, is it?
I want to control the size of the pot. I'm not going to try anything there. There's too many people there, 3 people against me.
Yeah.
CR checks. I've now hit a straight.
Yes.
I don't bet. I check.
Interesting. Tell us more.
Because I just want to find out where I am. And also, someone might try and bluff it. And I'm now waiting with a straight. Or, so he's put in a small bet.
He has the bigger straight.
CR's raised.
Yeah.
I just call it. And Will just calls it.
And are you happy with that?
Well, I think I didn't. I think it's tough for me again. I've really played it cautiously.
Yeah.
I've actually hit a straight.
Yeah.
It's tough to walk into someone who's flopped a flush. It's rare to flop a flush. It's tough, you know, for an individual to flop a flush. It's 118 to 1.
But it has happened there.
It has happened, but I didn't lose all my chips.
No, you didn't.
And I think a lot of players would have lost all their chips.
Haven't you... Yes, no, I'm sure they would. But haven't you actually put yourself in a position to get away from the hand there by playing it, I would say expertly, by playing it very quietly? And then you've seen a bet and a raise. Aren't you in a situation there where your best case scenario is that you're splitting?
Yeah, I think...
Do you think?
I think if I think I could have put it down.
Yeah. I think you could have put it down.
I think I could have put it down.
I think if you were in a different environment, if you were playing in a tournament where you were 100% focused, I think maybe you would have put that down.
I think I could have put that one down. However...
I mean, I'll just say up front, I think most players, myself included, would have got themselves into a much bigger mess in that hand because they wouldn't have played it as well
has played
earlier.
it very cute. He's actually checked twice, which is good. He's actually fooled everybody.
Well, it's worked out for him. He's taken a risk that somebody will bet.
So that's hard to read. So he's good. He's been deceptive. So it was a good play by CR.
Yeah.
Also, it's a cheap sit and go. So I'm not sure what the standard of the players. You know, people might have fallen in love with hitting trips or something. It's possible.
Yeah.
So, but what I've done is I didn't sort of get too excited when I hit my straight on the end. I still actually just checked it, and so at least I've saved some chips, which I think is reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I called it was because the price was... It still left me virtually half a stack, if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I think I could have put it down.
It's an interesting hand, no doubt about it. Incidentally, I thought that Will, who had the high straight, played it well as well because he he's got the nut hand apart from
he has, yeah,
apart from flop flushes. So interesting hand, and not a happy one for Mr. Browning or Will 2574, but they are still competitive with the blinds at 10 and 20. A fight back operation is needed, a rebuilding process.
Yes. Will it happen?
Yes. Well, I'm saying yes.
Will Queen King suited under the gun? Yes, I think in the co-light today I could have respected that raise from CR. The re-raise, rather.
I mean, it's one of the difficulties
Raise.
of playing in these sit and goes is that you don't know who you're playing against, which makes it hard, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, I'd also disguise my hand by checking. So therefore, it could be that someone late on was just I thought that it might actually bring about a bluff. That was the thing. When I actually checked again on the river, I thought, well, someone might actually try and steal this at the end.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 hearts there. They might try and represent a flush. They might try and represent the straight or whatever. So I'm actually thinking someone might steal. That's in my mind when I check it. So I check it for 2 reasons. 1, I might be on the wrong end of it. 2, it might create a bluff.
Yeah.
So therefore, when the first person bets, I'm thinking that might be the guy in late position, which he was, who was actually trying to steal it. Now I'm thinking the person who's raised, he might have the 9, the same as me. So that's my thinking, basically, at the time. I think that's why I end up calling it. And the second person is not likely to be raised by the first person, because he's done the raise.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to cost me any more money. It's not like it's going to go around and the initial bettor is going to suddenly re-raise the raiser.
Right.
So that was the thinking behind it.
That was the rationale.
Yeah.
Well, blinds are still 10 and 20. They're going up this time. They are not. We're still in the first of the tournament. Ace 10 for Mr. Browning under the gun.
Yeah. I'm worried that I don't have many chips here. It was a difficult situation, but in the end, I decided to pass it. I don't want to be particularly raising under the gun with that hand there. I'm trying to save my chips for where I really know where I am. So I just didn't want to get sort of overexcited because I saw sort of 2 pretty looking cards.
We've all done it.
And what would have happened there, if I limp, Fast Bandit would probably be raising and I'd probably be having to pass. So, if I'd limped, I don't think I'd get away with it. What do you think?
I don't know. Does that help?
Sorry?
Does that help?
Well, you wouldn't. If you'd limped with Ace 10 and Fast Bandit raised, you wouldn't be calling, would you?
Oh, no.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think I'd have got away with limping.
I think that what I do think, what working on this show has, I mean, we're all still learning, of course. The thing that's really been rammed home to me is that position is so important in Hold'em. I mean,
Yes.
I knew this anyway. If you play Hold'em for a decent amount of time, you know this. But it really is important. I actually think it's the most important element of the game.
Do.
It's more important than the cards. And I do think if you're learning the game, well, we're all learning the game. If you're in your first sort of year of Hold'em, I promise you will be underestimating how important position is, and just how many more hands you can play in a late position, and how few hands you should actually be playing in an early position.
So I actually think there it's that's basically the reason why I've passed that Ace 10. So people might be thinking, oh, why didn't he play that? I said because I want to be in a more dominant positional situation where game will have some fold equity or whatever, but I don't want to be doing it under the gun because Ace 10 is still not that good enough.
You just don't want to play very many hands because you've got to play the rest of the hand.
Yes.
From early position.
You've got to know where you are.
And so it just makes the game so much harder.
But the blinds were still low there, so it's not a situation just for me to go all in at that stage because the blind is still relatively low.
Yeah.
So I'm coming round to the button position shortly, so I want to wait for that.
Yeah. You're involved in a skirmish.
Yes. Ace Jack. I actually believe I'm winning here.
Do you know what happened pre-flop here? We were just chatting.
Yes, I just make up the blind, I think, or I call a small raise.
Right.
With Ace Jack. It was a very small raise. Gave me value, I thought. This time, when I've hit my ace, I'm not going to guess whether I've got the bigger kicker or not, and I just push all my chips in. I haven't got time to guess now. And as it happens, he passes. He doesn't have anything. So that's got me back to 560, so I'm thinking, well, it's not all lost.
The comeback's on.
Well, it's not quite a comeback yet, but it's sort of...
Yes, but you might not finish 8th.
That's right. This was my
That's
sort
your
of...
first, you know, staging post, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't really my aim, but I mean, it would be nice not to finish 8th and 8th, that's for sure. And that's a nice flop for 9-6. Got 2 pairs. Pops in 120, size of the pot, and double top quite correctly passes his pair of 3s. Now, pair of 8s with a middle pin straight draw for Will, but he's not tempted, and he passes. Well, I've got a pair of 8s. And there's been a flat call under the gun by Bandit. I'm sure Buffy be good passes a 6-9. I believe I just call. I do. A little bit. I've got position. I don't like the flop. 2 overcards, queen and a jack. But as we can see, no one has one.
Yeah, one of those situations, you've got the best hand. Absolutely impossible for you to know that, isn't it?
But this is the advantage that I've got position. But I'm not going to try and represent here against 3 people, because I can't afford mistakes. And now this is a horrible card for me.
Yeah.
Because it's really strangled me.
You can't conceive that all 3 players have, between them, don't
No,
have one of those
I'm
overcards.
certain that I'm behind. If anyone bets, I'm obviously going to pass. And I'm hoping they all check, and they do. Now, I'm not going to try and steal it there. Now, all of a sudden, now I think, actually, I might well be winning this. There's a chance, because I think, oh, well, maybe that king, they didn't like the queen or jack, maybe they don't like the king.
Yeah.
But it comes round to me, I'm not going to try and bet, I'm just going to check it, because if I'm winning, I'm winning.
You can turn your cards over and find out.
I can turn them over for nothing, so it's not worth me betting. So I just check it, and actually it's very happy surprise that I win it there. But again, I think it would be incorrect to bet there, because I've got a free chance just to see if I've won it.
Yeah.
Because who's going to call me?
Somebody that's got you beat.
Exactly. So I was happy enough with that. Chiar, 8-10. And we're in the second level and haven't lost a player.
No, again, on Beat the Presenter, the other players playing quietly.
Very quietly.
Until the presenter gets knocked out. Then they go mental.
No, but I was a bit aware of this, that people were playing quite quietly, and this... probably influences me somewhere along the line. Buffy be good, 6-7. Pair of aces for double top. Very nice. Makes it... Wow, what a big bet. I think that's too big.
Yeah, a bit unnecessary.
Too big. He wants to have an opponent. I don't like that bet, double top. Too big.
That bet smacks of somebody that's had aces cracked recently. And
Whoa, what's happened here? We've jumped.
Well, we have jumped forward in James's tournament, and the technical boffins is an exaggeration for them, isn't it, really? The technical crew, bless them, are going to work away and see if we can get that back for you. I do apologise, guys. As I've said before on the show, I know we make it look effortless, but what we do on the show is actually quite difficult, technically, to bring you these games and delay them and bring them semi-live and all this kind of deal. So do bear with us while we have a little fiddle about of a Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and see if we can fix that for you. Because we won't want to miss James's heroic progress. Couldn't be nicer, really.
Was that the best you could do?
That was the best I could do at short notice. We've jumped into a cash game, so we don't stop your enjoyment of poker on the show.
Ace Queen for Tufnell. He's got top pair.
Tuffers.
Tuffers.
Top pair and a lucrative contract with an insurance advertising company. He also brought out a poker DVD.
Amazing.
At Christmas.
Oh, was that with...
I'm still not convinced he can tell a heart from a club, but there we go.
Who did you bring it out with? Was it...
No idea.
Oh.
I didn't watch it.
Because the other guy, the comedian...
It might have been brilliant.
The comedy actor brought one out as well, didn't he?
John Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. 4 4s, look. Quads. You don't see that every day.
You don't see that every day.
Exciting for Scott Boy. He might get a little bit of action with it. He is going to get action with it.
Oh, he's got it all.
Unfortunately for Scott Boy, he didn't have more money in front of him. But he's not going to begrudge it. $4 to $6 in a 25% game with quads.
Monkey with King 5. So was it successful, the DVD? John?
Let's say it was. It was the best reviewed of the Christmas DVDs, I'm happy to say.
Oh, that's good.
3 queens for Tuffers. Certainly better than Tuffers is.
Ah. And can John play?
Yeah, he's all right. Well, Tufnell's got a very unlikely full house.
He has. Queen 4, not one you could guess.
No. Invisible full house. Big blind special.
And you think, I've done all my money there to Scott Boy, and look at this, I've got a full house and can't win a bean.
That's a
what a rotten game this is.
Isn't it?
I had top pair as well, he said.
Let's try your tournament again, James.
OK.
I'm told we've rewound time. We have.
Yeah, we have. Look at that.
Well played, the boys in the gallery.
They're good, you know.
I'm gonna call them boffins again. I downgraded them after that last fiasco, but now they're upgraded to boffins.
They're good, the guys in the back. They're good.
Sorry about that, boys and girls.
Buffy be good. Ace Jack under
We're
the
back.
gun makes it 120. And Claysot Queen 3, no decision there. And Bandit surrenders. Looks like Buffy Be Good's going to get the dosh. $3-4 for Browning, 007. Passes.
That's you, that is.
Yeah. Aces for Bandit. Makes it 80. Cute bet. He wants to get a bit of play there. I quite like this. He doesn't get it. Unlucky there. Good try. Good try. He was in late position. I don't mind that small raise there with the aces. Could well get one opponent. Because this table is quite tight. Let's go as far as to say I preferred that flat raise with the aces than the raise to 240 with the aces. And again, it's a matter of checking out the style of the table. Well, I was able to have a free look at a flop again. No one raised. But no good for me, I'm afraid. Couldn't connect. There's a possible jack would come, but I wouldn't be mad keen about that. Probably thinking it was winning because there'd be no raise pre-flop, so unlikely to be the ace.
And here's the power of position again. CR also has chips, so he can afford to make this kind of move.
I'm first to speak. I'm again 3 over cards. I'm not going to try and think chirpy there. I haven't got enough chips to.
But if you're last to speak and your two opponents have checked
twice,
I've
got a few more
it's
chips.
very different, isn't it?
But my chips, when I've got less chips, are worth more money individually. So I've got to bear that in mind. Because if you're risking gold-plated chips to steal with, it's far worse than risking paper chips if you've got loads of them. That was a thoughtful from Mr. Wealthall there.
You're painting pictures with words, James.
4-6 suited I've got there, but with a pair of jacks for Will, and I'm thinking he's going to raise. He does, he makes it 180. Big raise.
Why are people so... People always over-raise with jacks. I don't know why. I don't understand it.
Ooh, but look at that. He's been rewarded by getting called by Buffy Be Good with a pair of sevens.
Yeah, bit of a loose call, that one, isn't it?
Double top. We'll have to chuck the 3 deuce away, I think. And what is the flop going to bring? It brings a lucky 7.
Yeah, very fortunate for Buffy Be Good.
Will there just doesn't ask a question, he just whacks all his money in.
Well, he doesn't have any other option, but he didn't have too much money, and he's got an overpair. He's just unfortunate to have run into a set.
Yes.
And James, you are guaranteed 7th.
Minimum.
As a start point.
Could win.
Of course. There's no limit hold'em.
I'm the lowest stack, though, at the moment.
Yeah.
Feels like the only way's up from here, though, you know.
It does, and it looks that way too. I mean, you've come back from worse, surely.
Yeah. Oh, in fact, I was low before, and I was 480, and now back to 620, you know. We're moving in the right direction.
Clay shot takes the big blind. Now you've got 620, the blinds are 1480 at the moment. What are you thinking tactically?
Well,
strategically, if you prefer.
I'm actually thinking that I've actually been very quiet. And I see that the table is playing pretty tight. So I'm thinking, well, if I don't get a hand, there might well be a chance for me to, you know, pop in a well-timed bet sooner or later. Because I just don't seem to be picking up anything, is what...
And are you...
So I'm not now looking... I don't want to be frittering chips away particularly.
Have you got a time limit on when you're going to make some sort of move?
Well, yes, I'm looking and I'm thinking, well, at this moment... well, the cost per round is 120. So my M is just hovering on 5. Now, I don't think it's completely the same in the sit and go, but it is one of the... I will look at that to see what it is. So that's 5 times 120, obviously, is 600. Now, interesting here, I've got ace-queen suited.
Oh, and
this looks dangerous for me, doesn't it?
Difficult decision coming up.
Difficult decision coming up. There's been a raise under the gun. But I haven't seen too much from this Sidnell, though.
No?
Hasn't
played much.
I think he's actually showing strength here. But I've only got a few chips.
So what options were you contemplating?
I decide that the correct option is... to...
You had to think.
Have a good think, but eventually... pass! And it was a good pass by Mr. Browning.
Pass, wasn't it? Quality pass, passing ace-queen to queens.
I think that was a good pass, because in that situation, a lot of people would just panic and say, oh, I'll just come over the top and just put the chips in without thinking. But I actually been remembering how he'd been playing. I think he'd been solid, and I decided the table had been solid, And I thought, I don't need to get in that guessing game with that. I'd rather pass, and I'd rather find a situation.
Now, is this a better situation?
It was a better situation, and I actually did contemplate
moving
in on that one. I did contemplate moving in that. But again...
I like a move in out of small blind myself.
Right, but the thing was, I decided that I was actually looking to put my chips in as a better rather than a caller.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
that's what stopped me calling that one. But I nearly did call that one. I did consider it. But I decided, no, I'd rather bet than call. And here we go. I've got 4-5 suited. I'm in the cutoff. I'm watching what people do. He's passed, and I decide I'm going. I'm betting.
Look, we can all see the problem.
Well, I couldn't see it.
You couldn't see it, definitely not, but he has got them.
I decided now I would go all in. I've got 500 chips left. So my M is correct to move. And I've bet. And if I could live my life again, I would do exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And I actually think it's a good play.
Well, you can't afford to just sit there. You know, you've got an opportunity in that half the field has passed.
And I'm unlucky. He's found a pair of aces in the small blind.
I don't think you're going to be called there by anything other than a good hand.
I don't think so, because I've been so quiet. I hit a 5. I dreamed that I could hit a 4 or 5. In fact, he gets his ace.
You'd hit a 2.
Well done, double top. But actually, I actually think that I can back up what I've done in that sit and go. And I think I've done 2 things. One, I've been prepared to pass ace-queen suited.
Yeah.
And prefer to push it in with 4-5 suited because I'm playing position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think altogether...
You're playing position and also being the first into the pot
yes.
as well. Which...
And after I've been quiet and putting hands down, it's going to take a big hand to call me. So actually, I think those 2 plays are quite good.
And if you put all that together, you too can finish 7th. I'm being flippant. No, I think it's very interesting. I think the ace-queen is particularly interesting for people out there.
Yeah.
I do hope you've taken something from that, guys. Making Jams talking about the ace-queen with the spades on board that you went out with in the first sit and go. He's been critical, James.
I can take it.
Let's debate it. Apparently your pre-flop raise was okay. Fine so far. You hit the ace on a dangerous flop, and you make a bet to ask a question. You got your answer. The opposing player put you all in. You've got 11 big blinds left in your stack, and you only have 1 pair. What did he play against you with? Ace, king, ace, jack, have you beaten? So you're beating a bad ace or a lower pocket pair. Would he have called your raise in second position with a worse hand than yours? Question. Obviously not, as it turns out. He thinks you should have got away from the hand at that point and played with 11 big blinds.
The reason why it was difficult for me to get away from it was because the dangerous flop was in fact 3 spades. And the reason why it's difficult for me to get away from it is because, as I said earlier, is that someone there with the king of spades in his hand, for example, could well stay in there. He could have actually called people there. We've seen it here, been raising with
But when he came over the top of you, did you contemplate throwing it away?
No, because I couldn't put it away in case he just had a spade draw.
Okay.
Because he would make that move with a spade draw as well. With a flush draw, he would make that move as well. And that's what stopped me being able to put it down. If it was a rainbow flop, then it would be easier for me to put it down. But if I make the blunder of passing to someone who's just on a flush draw, that is a blunder.
Okay, we've got some more opinions on James's play, which we'll do a little bit later on. We've got the final of the multi-table tournament coming up. Keep the emails coming in, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. But now, the part of the show that is sweeping the nation, nay, the world. We're back with Nick's Poker Corner for our 3rd and final, and by final I mean in the history of mankind, instalment. My special guest tonight is Mr. James Browning. James, we've been talking all about your poker exploits.
Yes, hang on, it's James's Poker Corner now. I've got my special guest Nick here. Nick,
there's been a revolution.
Yeah, there's been a revolution. I've been to Russia, I've learnt it.
That's fair.
Nick, what have you been up to in your poker world?
Thanks for asking, James. Nicely done. Well, I've rediscovered the joys of playing cash live after playing cash games on the internet for about 2 years and only rarely playing live cash. The last sort of month I've started playing live cash again, and I've discovered that it has changed, for want of a massive generalisation, which that is.
Right. Can you explain to us how it's changed?
I think that the play is a lot less solid than it used to be, certainly than it was sort of 5 years ago when I was coming up, if you like. And I blame almost exclusively the poker that's shown on TV, and online poker as well, of course. But I think that people are watching final tables, which is what is basically covered on TV, whether it be... actually, our show covers them too now, but a lot of the other shows cover just final tables. And I think what people see is a lot of big moves, a lot of bluffs, a lot of moves with lesser cards, and it is the glamour of the game. And I found playing live over the last couple of months that there are a lot of younger people playing now, and fair play, the excitement of the game is making bluffs, making, you know, extreme calls where you call with ace high because you think the other guy's or whatever. And I just think there's a lot less solid play around live than there used to be. Right,
so what you're saying basically, it is a very fact that they're looking at these highlights, and it's just like if we were watching the highlights of match of the day, you think, my goodness, there's a goal every 3 seconds here in these matches, how exciting that is. Of course, there can be lots of 0-0 matches. Well, there's lots of 0-0 poker games, aren't there, with 1 goal scored at the end. So that's basically these young players now are just taking this highlight-type play and attempting to put it into practice in a money game.
And I think, and I think that for some of them, it does very well in tournament play. For some players, because it sort of lends itself to an aggressive style, if you're trying to make big bluffs, it can work in tournaments if your judgment's good. But in a cash game, I'm afraid the more solid player will just sit there, wait for their good cards, and then when they've got the goods, they'll hammer you. And the rest of the time, they'll just throw their cards away. So they don't mind losing the small bets.
Yeah. Well, their loose play in a cash game might work for a very short time, again, until people say, hey, what's going on? Because they might give them credit for having hands to start with. But as you say, the more solid player will say, hang on, buddy, you're mine.
I mean, I found myself check-raising a lot more. I've been playing pot limit, and I found myself check-raising a lot more than I used to do when I played cash live 5-6 years ago, when I would just play pot limit in a much more straightforward way. But now, because the players are so aggressive and because they're betting with lesser holdings, there's a lot more profit in check raising, I think, personally.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of handling it, because as long as you know you've got a mover and a groover at the table, let him do the work.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the work. And in fact, this, of course, is a great time. If you're in a cash game with some movers and groovers, as I'll call them, this is a great time, actually, in an early position to slow play, just with your aces even, because you're going to get action.
Yeah.
Where you know you're going to get action, fine. Just limp in with your big pair, because you're coming over the top.
Yeah, and this is what we talk about all the time on this show, is that you have to be able to make adjustments to the type of game you played. We've talked in Nick's Poker Corner earlier about James's tournament and how towards the end of the tournament he was making big moves, big all-in moves to A, set a stall out as someone not to be messed with, and B, to steal those chips. And now we're talking about a completely different style of play where you're letting other people be aggressive and give you chips because it's a totally different game. You've got to have all these strings to your bow, haven't you? And you've got to be able to adapt.
That's right. We've always got to be aware. We've always got to be looking at how our other opponents play. But also we've got to look to see if there's any changes. Is this guy playing this way because he's winning? Or is he playing this way because he's losing? Or has there been a change now in his fortune? And is there going to be a change in his style of play? So we can't just say, OK, we've got this table worked out, because for sure it will change again. And we have to be in tune with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, James, I've enjoyed being in James's Poker Corner, and I know you've enjoyed being in Nick's Poker Corner.
I did, yes.
I think we can look forward to a spin-off series and the inevitable merchandise, T-shirt, caps and lunch boxes, obviously.
Wristbands.
Let's face it, we're not getting a second series, are we?
We might.
We'll see you for some normal Poker Night Live after the break. Stay with us, guys. Hey guys, you are most welcome to the last hour of Poker Night Live. Thanks for sticking with us. We're going to have a good, fun last hour, including the final of the multi-table tournament. First, text and emails. You all right, James?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks.
We had fun tonight?
Yes, it's been good.
You got paid to play poker. It's all right, isn't it?
It's good. I like
Always
it.
Good. Shaky Shark's emailed in. Good evening, Shaky Shark. Thanks for the email. He, again, was talking about your ace-queen hand. We discussed that pre-break, so I don't want to discuss that. The reason I'm reading his email is he put at the end of it, please don't berate my play raising in early position with king-queen. I'm mixing up my play. And this was in the first tournament James played. I think, if memory serves, he was under the gun. He made it 4 times the big blind with his king-queen.
Exactly right, Nick.
And we said that's not the best play in the world. My point would be, when you say you're mixing up your play, I don't think that has any validity in actual fact, because you're mixing up your play compared to what? You know, it was very near the start of the sit and go. Unless you've played with those 7 players before, or unless you play with a lot of them regularly, then you're not really mixing up your play. But you're mixing up your play for you, but the other players you haven't set a pattern with. In order for mixing up your play to have any kind of worth, you have to have an image in the other player's eyes that you wouldn't normally do that sort of thing, don't you?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're basically just over-betting a bad hand.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's the early stages there, so there's no advantage to what you did there.
Yeah. So I don't think people... Again, it's a theme that I keep coming back to, because I keep seeing it in poker over and over again. People just overcomplicating things. Very often playing straightforward. And I know it's not glamorous, it's not sexy, it's not showbiz, but playing straightforward in a lot of poker games will get you the money. There's an email from Double Top, who I'm afraid, James, is the man who knocked you out of the second sit and go.
Oh, with his pair of aces, right?
We have to give him his moment of glory.
Let's hear what he says.
He says, I'm the man with ace-ace, and James walked into it with 4-5. Why would you make that play, James? Come on, you know why. You're in early position with a poor hand, you walked into a monster. Well, to be fair to James, he wasn't in early position, he was in late position.
I was in the cut-off.
Key difference.
Yes, I was in the cut-off, and certainly wasn't on tilt, and my M was less than 5, and I had been quite tight at the table, and I believe there's a great chance that everyone passes. And I think if you hadn't got a pair of aces, if you'd had ace-10, I think you'd have passed that. Yeah,
exactly. That's an interesting point, Double Top. What would you have called with? Because I think James is right. I think everything but a premium hand you're going to fold. And the table we've been playing so tight, you'd hardly played any hands.
That's right.
I honestly don't think it was a bad move at all.
And there's another follow-up, is actually 4-5 suited, which is what I had, actually is one of the hands which actually plays quite well against a pair of aces. Plays a lot better than a lot of other hands.
What, do you know the numbers?
Yes, it actually does. It actually, we'll check out the numbers, but it actually plays it's one of the better hands there. The low suited connectors play well against aces.
The point is that
I mean, it's still bad shape, but they play better than most other hands.
The point is that you weren't going to sit there and get to the point where your stack is so short that you're guaranteed to be called when you move in. James is going to use, like any good player would, the equity he has while he's got it. Because if you sit there and let the blinds go around, sure, you're still alive in the tournament, but if when you move in you're guaranteed to be called because your number of chips is so small, you've lost that massive factor, which is the equity that you gain with the possibility of everyone folding, you picking up the blinds. And you can't, in any tournament, multi-table tournament, single table tournament, you can't let your chip stack get to low and to that point. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Going to cheer you up, James, after those nasty people criticising you. We've had an email from Flirty Liz.
Oh, good. I feel happy already.
Thanks, Liz. You keep him sane. Actually true. I just played my first time on the TV table and had a great time. Say hello to the guys on the 25-50 cent cash table for me, particularly Crumble and Tragic Trev, who sat next to me and kept putting his hand on my knee. I think you'd get on well. You're both fantasists.
No, Tragic Trev.
Perfect.
Listen, Tragic Trev is talking about playing me heads up. I'm going to play you heads up now, and the prize is going to be Flirty Liz because I'm not putting up for this.
I think that's trafficking in women live on the show. Sorry about this, Liz. Tragic Trevor also got me to put down my pocket kings. He raised to 4 times the big blind. I re-raised to 12 times the big blind, and he went all in, about $160 on a 25-cent, 50-cent table. I always thought the third round just meant aces, so I folded my kings, and he took down showing his queen to queens. Well, this is a really interesting situation. What do you think? I think it's a fascinating question. So let's break it down again. It's a 25-cent, 50-cent game. Liz has made it 4 times the big blind, so Liz has made $2 to go.
Yep.
No, excuse me. Trevor's put a normal opening raise in. He's raised it to $2.
He raised it, yes.
Yeah. She's re-raised with kings, quite rightly, to 12 times the big blind.
Right, so she's put in a really
she's got up to
meaningful,
$6.
No, it's a meaningful re-raise that from Liz, yeah.
And then he went all in for $160.
Well,
that's
I think
weird.
actually Liz is actually It's definitely going to be a big pair. I mean, this is definitely going to be a big pair because she asked a huge question by going 12 times the big blind on the re-raise, and she got the answer. I mean, the only thing is Tragic Trev is capable of pushing his chips around. That's if you know the player.
Move on it.
He is capable, but I think it's actually I think it's quite a dangerous play by Tragic Trev. I mean, because he could well have been up against aces.
It's one of those. It's one of those.
Or be called by the kings.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those situations where it kind of depends.
You've got to know your player.
You've got to know your player because that's what they. Yeah.
You've got to know your
Sums
player.
it up, doesn't it? You've got to know your player. You've got to know. You've got to know what, and it's kind of a science and kind of an art. You've got to know what are the chances he's making a move. What are the chances he's doing this with aces? What are the chances he's doing this with a lesser hand?
There's a bit of a missing ingredients here, Liz, because I don't believe that you had $160 in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, when I was looking at the screen, I seem to remember that you had about $60 or maybe $57. $57 or $58, I think you had. So therefore, I believe you have to call this because you didn't have so much money left. Because once you've put in 4 big blinds and 12 big blinds, that's 16. That's
not. It's $8.
16 big blinds.
Yeah, 25.50.
No, didn't say dollars. I said blinds. 4 big blinds and 12 big blinds is 16 big blinds.
Yeah.
Okay.
$8.
Right. So therefore, there's another $8 in the pot there as well.
She's still, yeah.
Well, no, I don't know how much money she had.
Well, she had $60. She's got a lot of money. She's got 100 times the big blind.
She had about 50 something when I saw her.
She's got 100 times the big blind.
Right. Okay. No, so she's still got enough to pass then.
I mean, I'm not saying one thing or the other. I think it's a really interesting situation. It'd be interesting to hear other viewers take on it. Folding kings before the flop is always a tough thing to do. But
what I would say is, Liz, I think what you say is right, and I believe that third raise, over 50% of the time, is going to be aces. That's for sure. And it's obviously more likely to be aces than kings, because you've got the kings. And I don't think many people are actually going to be doing it with queens.
No, you could almost argue it's more likely to be a move than queens.
Yes.
Maybe. Don't know. Difficult one, this. Very interesting email, though. Thank you for it. She does say she's videoing the show as she likes to concentrate when she's playing, and she's quaking the thought of what James might say about your play. Suppose he thinks I'm rubbish. It could be the end of a beautiful friendship before it's even begun.
No, I don't think you're rubbish, Liz. I think actually it's a sign. To be able to put a hand down even when you're wrong is actually an attribute. Because in the long run, if you are able to put hands down in no-limit hold'em, this is one of the most important things to be able to do. So as it happens, I'm going to praise you, Liz. It doesn't matter. I'm not a results merchant. It doesn't matter that he had queens. I'm praising you because you had the strength to put down a massive hand. And there's very, very few players can do that. So already you're on the way to becoming a good player.
Liz, if when you watch this back on the videotape version and you put the subtitles on, what it says under that last talk is, I can't believe she used the word friendship. I'm right? Guys, we've still got time for your texts and emails. We've got about 40 minutes to the show. Hasn't it gone quickly? What? What's wrong? I'm lightly teasing you.
Yes, it has gone quickly. Yes, you are teasing me.
Lightly teasing you. Thanks for the email, Liz. Do get your text and emails in. We've still got time for you to get yours read out. Text is 62211 62211, and you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, anything you like. And if we have time, we'll get in a few more of our little game theme we're playing tonight, which is which TV and movie stars would you get to play famous poker players?
Oh,
do you understand
right.
it yet?
Yeah, I got it there. Yeah. TV.
You can have a little go?
Yeah, I'm going to have a go, yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, let's go to our multi-table tournament and see the exciting conclusion of that. Check it out. You'll be glad you stayed with us this Tuesday morning. 6 players left. Sadly, not our perennial favourite El Pig.
But Hoyk's there. Hoyk Balls is there.
El Pig was 11th, so another good finish for him. And we've got blinds of 1,000, 2,000. And a big variety in stacks. L Trev is our short stack with just under 10,000.
And the first prize tonight is $384.
Lovely.
Second, $256. Third, $160. Fourth, $121. Fifth, $102. We lost Nash and Taz before the final. They got 19.20 and 38.40. And we lost, then we lost Jester. He went out 8th. Got $51.20. And we lost Kung Connie, who came 7th and got $64.
Ace King for Skin, and he makes it 4 times the big blind raise, which might actually be a bit excessive at this stage of the tournament. Probably get the same job done with sort of 2.5.
The very interesting thing here is that the average stack is 32,000. And if we look there, we can see that there's only one person who's got above the average stack.
That is quite interesting, isn't it?
And this is because, and this is something which we can learn from, because when one person has a lot of chips, it means now that you don't actually need to have the average.
Yeah.
Because he's been greedy, he's taken all the chips, which is fine. So now there's 192,000 chips in the tournament here. So we could take away his 70,000. And which leaves us 122,000, and we could divide that by the remaining players, which is 5 players, would be 24,000. So therefore, between them, their average between their 5 is 24,500.
Yeah.
So when you're in a tournament and you see that someone's a massive chip leader, don't worry if you haven't quite got average chips, because you don't actually need them. And in fact, the person you want to keep on getting chips is the guy who's got all the chips. Although it's going to mean you're going to have to catch him up, it doesn't matter, because the time you fight him will probably be when you end up heads up with him. Yeah. At that time, the blinds will be higher, and you're just going to have to get lucky and double up. It doesn't matter too much. But at this moment in time, you'd rather he kept on knocking people out and snaffling more chips.
Absolutely. Well, I've always, and this is a good opportunity for Gilberto to move here. He can be reasonably confident he's got the best hand, and he does. It looked like 6,000 chips for the taking, and it should be. Noddykins calls. Well, maybe that's how he got all those chips, making that kind of call. And Gilberto's unlucky. He's unlucky to be called, and he's more unlucky to have lost with the best hand. And that's poker. He did the right thing, I think.
That's poker.
He did the right thing. If Noddykins has, and we haven't seen the whole tournament, if he's been doing that a lot, calling all-ins when he can afford to, did Gilberto do the right thing then? Or does that make it a less good move?
Right. You're making a really good point.
Very interesting
because
question.
Basically, if you know someone is calling, the big stack is calling all the time, your fold equity has disappeared.
Yes.
Or has certainly been altered.
You just might see a player eliminated. Hold
So that is the key to it, isn't it? Yes, we've got ace king against ace jack. The jack's connected, and we've lost L-Trev there.
Best hand loses twice in a row, I'm afraid. Sorry, yes, James, that was interesting. Let's go back to that. You've lost your fold equity.
Yeah, you've lost your fold equity when you know that someone is calling all the time. The big stack's calling people down all the time. Your fold equity, if not been lost, has certainly been altered.
Yeah.
So you've got to work out sort of what percentage of the time is this guy calling. So now, therefore, where your fold equity, you have to basically estimate what your chance of people folding is. And that's what it's all about. When you make your move, you've got to say, what chance will they fold? So therefore, the more people that are there, obviously the harder it is to get the bet past them.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand that at all from Skin.
What?
He bet 2,000. I mean, he just needs to check that on the flop.
Having flopped the house.
Yeah.
Or possibly bet more.
Yeah, or bet more. Yeah, you're right.
He's not going to get paid. Oh, he did. Got paid. Wow.
Another small bet, I think, surely. Just left that 2,200 there, just for...
It's quite cute, that bet. I don't mind that. If the guy's got... I think the guy, if he's clicked the king, I think he's going to call him.
Well, massive hand, which has changed the look of this tournament for Skin Up, flopping a full house. What a time to do it with 4 players left in the multi-table. Very, very pleasant. And the jacks have moved round. Portod Pan has them now,
And Skin Up's decided to raise it up. Well, no choice there for Potard Pan. He's not guessing. He says this is good enough short-handed. Big hand, pair of jacks. Of course, we've always got to be aware how the relevance of our hand varies according to the number of players. Skin Up's called it there. He had a lot of chips, and he's called it with the ace small.
well, we've seen the last 3 players go out with the best hand each time. And we're down to our final 3, James.
We are.
What are they playing for again? 380 or something?
Yes.
Now the situation's reversed between these two. Skin Up's the big stack and Noddykins is smaller. Skin Up can afford to call a minimal raise. I wonder if he'll try and push Noddykins off this. Doesn't have to, and he doesn't want to. Well, very clear first, second and third at the moment, but if you've watched one of these tournaments before, it can all change. Playing No Limit Hold'em, the fastest poker game there is, so 1 double through and the picture will be very different.
Yes, interestingly enough, I just checked that out there. When I played that 4-5, it ended up against a pair of aces. The 4-5 of spades against a pair of aces has got more chance of winning than a pair of kings.
Isn't that interesting statistically?
I think it is.
I mean, they're both a little bit buggered, but what you're saying is...
That it's actually...
It's less bad.
Yes.
Slightly.
The pair of kings only wins 18% of the time. The 4-5 of spades wins 21.44% of the time.
There you go.
And ties 0.41% of the time.
Interesting.
So interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. A Skin Up may try the check raise here, try and tempt Hoik into a bet. And it's worked. I imagine we'll see him raise. And if he does raise, Hoik has to call, really. I mean, he's getting, you know, 5-1 from the pot. He can't pass, I don't think. And he does pass. He had the worst hand, but he also did have some outs. I don't know, it's hard to criticise somebody folding the worst hand too much. But I think by making that bet, he put himself into a position where he kind of had to call the raise. And now he's down to his last shout. He needs this ace to hold. It does. Your friend Hoik.
Hoik.
Hanging on.
Hoik surrenders, Noddykins. Wins. And Hoik there, 410 on the button.
Well, he's got 19,000. I think he can afford to pay the blinds once more, if he wants to. Not the ideal situation. Whatever he does, he's so out-chipped.
Flush draw for skin up.
I thought we might see him raise, but he just calls.
Skin up there, thinking with his 6-9, but passes. Hoik Ball's now getting in a serious situation here. He's only got 16,000 left, and he's just called. Wow.
Oh, and he's got himself into trouble now. I think
Well,
it's going to be the end of him.
And he's decided that I can't blame him. He's hit top pair with that hand. If he's going to play with it, it's about all he could hope for. He's committed. He hasn't even got a diamond, and that's the end of it. I'm not quite sure with. Yes, I wasn't keen on that really. The making up with the 7-8. I think he's either got to just commit straight away with it.
Yeah.
All in, and maybe have some fold equity. I don't think he'd get it, but it doesn't matter. We don't know what the guy's got when we do it.
Yeah.
Or I just think pass it, because it's not the easiest hand to call on, because even if you hit a 7 or an 8, it's not that brilliant in this case calling, because you don't quite know where you are to play it afterwards, which was showed here. He hit the top pair and he was still in trouble. I think he could have waited and been an aggressive better, or been aggressive anyway and just pushed it all in before the flop.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite happy with the way he played it. Okay, big hand for Noddykins. Ace-Jack takes it down, and he's getting back in the game again there. 74 against 117.
Well, it's all intents and purposes even Stevens, isn't it, really?
Well,
somebody's got to have a tiny edge, haven't they?
Yeah. This now, because there's quite a lot of play, their percentage chance is pretty well related by the chip difference. So we can say this is like, you know, he's a fair favourite, Skin Up. He's about sort of, you know, certainly 11 to 7 on. Noddykins holding the club. Not so big that he'll be wildly confident about it, but he's put a little feeler bet out there. And often with these flush type flops, people do get very nervous of them.
Yeah, they do, and definitely in relation to how likely it is that they're up against something, they get far too nervous.
They get over nervous of them. There's someone who just ran into a flush tonight, but there you go.
We don't play results on this show, do we?
No, generally, I actually think I make quite a lot of money against three flush flops, 3 card flush flops.
It's weird how you get influenced, your education's influenced by what you experience. I remember giving up a very big pot in a limit game when I held top pair on a flush flop very early in my career. It's weird, just some hands stick with you.
Yeah.
I played this hand probably 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And it was such a horrible mistake that I made by passing. It cost me, I was playing limit and it cost me, I don't know, 6 or 7 big bets probably. Because those people were just playing their draw aggressively and whatever. And it's stuck with me. And it's absolutely true. It looks far scarier than mathematically actually is.
I remember when I first started playing Hold'em that I was definitely guilty of being overly nervous of a flush flop.
Yeah. You get some great situations between good players. Actually, in tournament, I was going to say in tournaments, but you get them in cash games as well, when there's 4 cards to the flush on board.
Oh, yes.
And somebody will represent, and then sometimes somebody will re-raise, again, not necessarily having it, because it's just... It's one of the essences of Hold'em, isn't it? You can see what could be there, and it can be a very interesting situation.
Sort of rather like Indian poker with one card stuck on your forehead.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
King, Queen, 5's the flop. Noddykins has got a 5.
Well, he also raised before the flop.
Skin up has got nothing. And that's quite a nice card there for Noddykins.
It is.
He's bet smaller. Trying to represent that he had the Queen there.
Yeah, well, I think his pre-flop raise helped him there.
I think you're right.
Well, obviously the fact that skin up hadn't hit anything as well also helped, but made it more convincing he'd have a king or a queen.
But Skin Up's got to try to think when he makes some of these calls, he's got to try to think what's going to happen next. Right, I think... Oh yeah, Noddykins doesn't want to know. Quite a lot of play here for these guys again, once to reach the last 2, which is really refreshing to see. It's good. I'll enjoy the fact that we can see some actual heads-up poker where there's some play.
Yeah, no, I think we both... I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just in the end, obviously when you get to a sit-and-go heads-up, there's just, it's just because of the nature of a sit-and-go, the blinds are 640, 1280 or whatever, there's nothing to do, you've been pressing the button more or less, you might dodge the odd hand and that's about it. But here, there's definitely room for some tactics.
Yeah.
And you can get away from hands still. And it becomes a little bit cat and mouse, which is quite nice, and he's now narrowing the gap there, Noddykins. 109 to 82.
He's playing slightly more aggressively, I think.
Skin Up, I think, is going to show a bit of aggression here. Quite a good heads-up hand. He's flat raised to 6.
Well, that's become standard between them, actually, this flat raise.
It has, as we've mentioned it many times before, tables often take on a raise, a level of a raise, which is the accepted amount.
Yeah.
What's the currency for the raise today?
I've seen quite a lot of heads-up matches between good players who respect each other, where pre-flop raising just doesn't happen.
Oh,
just
yes.
limp,
well,
and then they play each other on the flop.
I've played quite a few heads-up tournaments.
Yeah.
And initially, when I play the heads-up, especially there's a bit of play in the heads-up tournament, I actually won't be a raiser. I'll actually just see what the opponent does. I'll actually just call quite a lot, be a flat caller, keep pots quite small, play a little bit cat and mouse, etc., etc.
Yeah.
If the opponent is a different style opponent, well, then I will adapt my play. But I'll basically try to play it so that I'll extend the play of the tournament. So there'll be more decisions to be taken.
Right.
And always bearing in mind that you don't have to worry when you go behind, even in the heads-up tournament, because later on you can catch up so quickly.
Yes. Re-raised by Noddykins, and that's the flop he wanted to see. I think we'll see Noddykins move all in here. Oh no, just doubles the bet. It's going to be enough though, because
that's virtually him. He's not putting this down now, I wouldn't think. Got a lot of money in the middle there, 84,000 in the middle.
I don't understand skin up's play in this hand, really.
It's again, it's another case where I think skin up hasn't thought about what's happening next.
Yeah.
This is what I was referring to before when he's made a sort of a dodgy call. What does he think's going to happen next? And now what's he drawing to? Is he just drawing to an ace in his mind? I can't think he can think he's drawing to anything else.
He decided very early in the hand that Noddykins didn't have very much, and then needed to be told 3 times that he actually did. That's what it looked like to me.
Yes, I just not thinking ahead. Ooh,
Well, this is a danger for skin up.
Yes, he's...
Because he's got an ace, and any ace heads up is a good hand.
Flat raised by Noddykins. Well, the problem is skin up might be punished here for his keenness not to put a hand down. Tends to like to call the first bet, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I think Noddykins can flat call and then check the turn here.
He might be worried by the flush draw.
He shouldn't be. I mean, he's heads up.
He's raised it, but not too much. Just raised it to try and get him in there. Is skin up good enough to put it down? Let's hope so.
He's not.
Again, this is such a horrific calling with ace-3 here. What on earth? You basically, in your mind, you can only think you're calling with 1 card. Unless he was looking for a backdoor flush.
Well, I think he just thinks Noddykins is
At it.
at it all the time. But, you know...
Oh, no! This has turned into a disaster.
He's just not listening. He's not... But when I say he's not listening to what Noddykins' bets are telling him. I mean, Noddykins made a minimum re-raise. Now, people only do that when they're strong.
And Noddykins left the door open again. He's checked again. So, oh, well, at least Skin Up didn't try it again.
No, but if he does finish second in this tournament, he can look back on that hand as the...
Well, not just that hand. I think it was these other ones where he's just calling with hands like ace small is very dodgy.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I'm just saying that the size of the pot means...
Oh, that's a massive one there. I mean, that's just a magnification of his of the style he's been using the last few hands.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what he does now when he's really desperate now. 2-4 the blinds.
Yes.
He really is in big trouble.
Any high card is going in, isn't it?
Well, this is going in now, Queen 9, for sure. Just all in now, click the button.
And this is one of those situations where Noddykins shouldn't call because... No, that's a good play. Because he should wait until, I believe anyway, Noddykins should now ease off and wait till he has a half-decent hand. Doesn't matter if Skin Up wins a few blinds in a row.
Right.
What you don't want to do is now double him up and start to make him competitive again.
In fact, Noddykins here, actually... Oh, he's got a choice there. What he can do there with the king-queen, because he knows he's going to play with that one, heads up, he could actually just make up the small blind and leave the door open for Skin Up to try and steal it.
Yeah, that's a play I like, definitely.
So I think that's what I'd have done there.
I agree, yeah.
Because basically, by firing him off the blind, he's done it with quite a good hand, heads up. He wants to play with it, so he might as well leave the door open to say, this is a good one to try and finish you off with.
Yeah.
Now to get to the situation where Noddykins... Oh, he's past that, okay.
Well, I would, because you're only giving up 2,000 as opposed to potentially doubling him up. That's what I'm talking about. There's no rush for Noddykins
Yeah,
now.
but when it drops down to a lower level there, the odds... Once the odds become... You know, once you're getting 3-to-1 odds, it's...
Yeah, I mean, when you've got your man on the ropes like this, a bad boxer throws lots of punches. A good boxer waits for him to pop his chin up and then knocks him out.
Right. But
I like
now,
what Noddykins is doing here. It's like
right, but
slowly.
here, this one he's got to call.
Yeah, this one he's going to call, yeah. I mean...
Because...
Skin Up, that's a mistake by Skin Up.
And
that's a mistake.
Right. And from now on, Noddykins has got to play each bit. It's gone past the barrier now because of how much he's got left. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter now, does it, what he does?
Because he's just
so
got
few chips. Yeah. A 5 would end this, or another 3 or a 4. Nope, Skin Up's back up to 14,000. kind of waiting for the life support to be turned off. It would be an astonishing comeback if Skinner could make it, but he's in such serious trouble. Noddykins can basically wait till he has
the English love the underdog. They'll be rooting for him,
won't they? Oh, he passes again. And I have to say I've liked Noddykins' play in the heads up, but I haven't seen him done too much wrong. And well, this is going to be an all-in situation. Reasonably close to 50-50, a slight edge for the sevens, slight edge for Skin Up. He'll need them to hold. Oh, and Noddykins hits the queen. Only a 7 can get Skin Up out of this.
Oh, he had a hand, small favourite, wasn't to be.
Wasn't to be.
Still enjoyable.
Yep, enjoyable, and I think based on the heads up, obviously we didn't see the whole tournament, I think the right man won. I think he played well in the heads up, Noddykins.
It was enjoyable. I enjoyed that final table. It was good.
And you made an important observation about Skinner's play. We're not having a go Skinner. Obviously, he did fantastically well to get second in a multi-table. But just a learning point for everybody is just the idea about thinking about what's going to happen next.
Yeah, don't just think about, ooh, shall I call, shall I whatever, etc. Say, right, should I call? But if I call, what happens next? Now, when you're calling with a hand like ace-3, what do you want to do? Well, you want to hit an ace. Do you want to hit the 3? You don't know, do you? So what happens next in the story? And if you think that what happens next is not good for you, you probably shouldn't even call to start with.
Yeah.
Just dump it.
It's also the same sort of idea, but it's if somebody makes a bet into you, if you call that bet, what is the likelihood of you facing another bet down the next street? A lot of times it's actually quite high. So you've got to ask yourself, if your hand doesn't improve on the next card, are you going to call another bet? Because that's what you're basically doing.
Exactly.
This is one of the big weaknesses in calling in Hold'em.
And this is the problem to carry on with this theme, is when people heads up find themselves playing a draw hand, and the bet comes on the turn card to come, the bet comes, and you're getting the odds for the flushes here, but what happens next? What happens if you don't hit your flush here? He's going to bet you out of it.
Yeah.
You can't call.
Yeah.
So if you have enough money to be able to try and hit a 4-to-1 shot, go on then. But if you haven't, you shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
So again, what happens next?
It's a mistake a lot of people make, isn't it? There's
no
question about that. Hope you enjoyed the multi-table tournament, guys. There'll be another one of those along tomorrow night. Another Poker Night Live from 10 o'clock.
Where James will be here? I am, yes.
Are you? Who will you be enjoying Poker Night Live with tomorrow?
I'll be enjoying Poker Night Live with one of your favourites.
Who?
Kara Scott.
I love Kara Scott. Not in that,
Nick,
not in that way. In a mutually respectful and caring friendship fashion.
Okay.
And also, she's very good at presenting the show. Kara and James tomorrow night, that'll be a good one, guys. Tune in. We'll slide in a couple of cheeky... It's become... This game started out as a casting poker players. It's now become a looky-likeys game, basically.
All right.
This made me laugh a lot. This is a text from Winnie. You have to know both these people, guys, to appreciate this. I think if you made Poker Night Live the movie, Toadie from Neighbours... Do you know who this is? If you know who Toadie from Neighbours is, this is brilliant. Would make a great Matt Broughton. Matt, I am sorry if you're watching. If you're not watching, I am going to tell you this at a later date, so you'll find out one way or the other. Toadie from Neighbours, bless him. He won't be happy with that at all. Gary's emailed in to say, I reckon Phil Hellmuth should be played by Quentin Tarantino. I think that's quite good. Quite like that one, Gary. Daniel Day-Lewis or Jeff Bridges would play great Chris Jesus Ferguson. And Lucy Liu can play the gorgeous Evelyn Nguyen. Good ones.
Yeah.
Gary has taken the game seriously, and it's to his credit.
Well, look what he's put at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't... You see, what I do is I edit out the smut.
Oh.
And what you do is draw attention to it.
Yes. Well, go on. Read it then.
Hope there's a love scene. See? Now, do you think the show is enhanced by me reading that or not?
No, because you didn't put your heart into it.
And this is very funny as well. Dang Rivers emailed in to say Nick's hair could be played by by Secret Squirrel.
I like that one. I do like that one, Nick.
My hair, the source of endless and hard to explain fascination. Guys, we're gonna mellow out for the last few minutes that we're on air. I know that it's duvets up round the head and remote control on the off button time on this Wednesday morning. Is it Wednesday morning? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Wednesday night, Wednesday morning.
Good guess.
So here's the last few minutes of a little gentle cash game for you. Enjoy.
A little gentle cash game.
Might not be, I don't know. I can't predict the future. It might be the most insanely
Wild, manic
Wild
play
cash
we've
game.
ever seen in our lives. Could be, because Tragic Trev, bear in mind the maximum you can buy in for here is $50. We've got Tragic Trev sitting there with the magnificent total of $229.15.
You've got about 6 minutes, mate. We want you to email in and tell us how you got it all and how happy it's made you.
Well, by making the King's Pass was part of it.
It was. Yeah, but that only made him like $12.
Yeah, but that's a quarter of your starting stack.
Yeah.
You had to check that, didn't you?
I can barely say my name at this time of night.
JPEZ, 6 queens, got a flush draw, bets $1.50. Scott Boy decides to surrender.
Match and Zen with the jacks. I'm sort of segueing into my late night bedtime voice now.
Oh, right,
James.
okay.
We're just going to take the tempo down a notch.
Okay.
You know, it's almost 2 o'clock. People don't want
Don't they?
excited urgency at
I
this
sometimes
time.
crank it up.
Yes, I've had complaints. They say we're in bed, we're cuddling up. What we don't need is, you know, shrill excitement at 2 a.m.
Trip jacks.
It's kind of trip jacks.
Trip jack.
Yeah, see, it's nice, it's relaxed.
Machete Zen.
Well, if ever there was a flop to slow play, that's one, isn't it?
Well, he's bet $1 into $4.50. Pretty
It's an
smart.
absolute dream flop. Only one straight draw you'd be worried about, no flush draws.
It's not quite a dream flop because no one's hit it. Somehow, Goldie Hills found a way to call $1 with his King 10.
Well, you never know what's around the corner, do you? And that's the beauty of...
And he's now
Texas
decided to
Hold'em
bet it
poker.
now. Make a move, he says.
He's picked up a straight draw, and Match then will take the opportunity to raise, probably pushing in.
I think Gus
on the
Hansen would
stack.
try and steal this, he says. He's still in there. He called the raise.
That was only another $4, wasn't it? By the
It's
time
massive.
by the time he got
That's
himself...
8 big blinds.
Yeah, but there was $12 in the pot. By the time he got himself into that mess, he was almost getting odds to call it. He wasn't quite, but, you know, he was getting there. Trying to be positive.
Is that what we do on late night poker?
Everybody's our friend on late night poker.
Sorry, Goldie, I don't know what was going on there.
What do you think the...
Didn't like it.
What do you think the public response to Nick's Poker Corner is going to be? I think it's going to be overwhelming.
It wasn't overwhelming on the chat box.
No. But those people are very aggressive, aren't they? Very aggressive name callers.
No,
I think the silent
I hope it was-
majority,
well,
I think, will actually have lapped it up.
Good. I hope you're right.
I think we're going to see the lunchboxes fly off the shelves.
I hope it was reasonably entertaining.
That's the best we can hope for, isn't it? Let's face it.
10 Jack Queen's the flop. Machete Zen's got a 10 with a rather dodgy kicker and checks. Monkey. Nice name. It's got the up and down straight. And is raised by Machete Zen with his 10-3. And the up and down straight is rather pleased to see a 9, which has given him a straight. Now what's Machete going to do? He's checked. Monkey, I'm sure, is confident that he's winning. There's 650 in the middle. Decides to bet 150. Please pay me, he says. It's late. Just pop it in the middle.
Something I've said.
But Machetti said refused, which is something your partners often do.
Very wise.
Rackman cranks it up with Nick Wealthall's pair of nines.
Why is it my pair of
I
nines?
don't know, they were all talking about your pair of nines.
I went out with a pair of nines.
Okay.
In a sit and go once.
Right, they were all referring to it.
Why?
I don't know, I thought you'd be the man to ask.
This is a curious move from Monkey. It's no limit hold'em. You're allowed to do it, but...
Yes, he's risking $53 to win about $2.25. It's an aggressive play.
Ratman's thinking about it. And you can understand him thinking about it, because he's thinking, if he had a hand that's better than my nines, if he had tens, jacks, queens, kings, or aces, would he be doing that? Probably not.
And the ace-eight's thinking about it, because he has only got
He's only
$12.85, and he passes as well.
I think that's quite interesting. Rackman's situation there is quite interesting. I think Rackman's actually got quite a big positive expectation there. Because Monkey is not... If Monkey's got a hand that's better than his nines, tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces, there's no way he's put money in at that point to win $2 with a premium pair. It's much, much more likely that he's doing it with a small pair or ace-king.
People do that move with aces on the internet. It is an internet play.
Fine, but I think people do it more with small pairs because they think... I've seen it all my poker career. They think that it protects their small pair. I've heard that phrase so many times.
Yes.
I'm just interested. If you got a pair of nines there, if you worked out the percentage probabilities of each hand, I think calling might actually be a positive expectation play.
I must admit, I couldn't have called it with a pair of nines, but I can see what you're saying.
No, James, I'm not saying I could have called it at all.
I can see what you're saying.
That's a horrible outdraw. Oh, no, it's not. It's far too late. Let's concentrate on what we were talking about.
Kings and queens there. Silver was okay. There we are. Just to confirm it was all right. It was 2 pairs for Scott Boy. Kings in the flop and queens in his hand. He's got another pair now, a pair of tens. He's cranked that up to 250.
James, are you familiar with S&G, what's it called? S&G Power Tool. Sit and go Power Tool.
No. I've got an idea what it is, actually.
GR664 owns it. He's recommending it for people that play sit and goes. We're not recommending it. We haven't used it, got no idea. He says he's put your 4-5 suited all in, your situation into it, and it shows a positive expectation of 3.4% of the prize pool. In that situation, it was correct for you to push with 4-5 suited.
In situation is more than correct to push with 4-5 suited. All right. Yeah, good. I thought it was.
You knew that. You didn't need some sort of power tool. God damn it, you are a poker power tool.
There we are. I've been exonerated.
Been a pleasure to spend some time with you again, James.
I've enjoyed it, Nick. It's been fun as always.
It's been great. Hope you've enjoyed it too. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. James is back tomorrow night with the great Kara Scott. I know that you'll be back too. Send them lots of texts and emails and get involved, guys. Another Beat the Presenter. I'll be back very soon. I think I'm back on Thursday, actually. So I'll see you then. Tomorrow night, same mix, same way. Lots of fun. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.